All right. All right. It took the third try. It took the third try to get this thing right. All right. Okay. Oh, man. Peace, life as well. I want to get people's questions. You know what I mean? I have a student here, but I want to get people's questions so that way we can build. It's like when I have students in the classroom, I want everybody to build as well. You know what I'm saying? Ask questions. This way I can learn to integrate everybody. Let it be my responsibility. You know, don't help me out by not asking a question. You know, we want to start to get this thing filled up. I taught it for years, but this whole thing was filled up. I'm in a good mood. I have the Spinners song in my head. Could it be on Falling in Love? It's in my head over there. All right. Now I've been thinking about it though. Just to know, dietary law. There's no pork. There's a study of what's what has pork. So you're not dealing with. You're always looking at things that have dyes, and if they have yellow dyes, they're usually pork. But it could be other. It could be other dyes that have it too. Um, Things like mono and diglycerides, all these kind of things. That's why if the label doesn't say parv, look for a parv label. That's the old school way of looking at it. Or if it says vegan, things like that, that's but like anything that's if you're dealing with candies and stuff, which I don't advocate, obviously, things that are chewy but are not that actually will dissolve, right? Those usually have pork in them. Skittles. Right. Skittles is interesting because I remember the guy, he was like, yeah. I was like, you're eating Skittles. And my eyeballs popped out of my head. And he was like, all hyped, telling me that it didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. All right. I really wish I had access to this board, but yeah. So you want to look at all the ingredients. So obviously, this is kind of like not that difficult. It's not going to be difficult for you at all, But we gotta do better than what we're just not allowed to eat. You know what I'm saying? And it's also the mentality. I'm not going to go too far into. I have a sheet, a protocol, living foods protocol that I give students so they can start with like cheaper foods, how they do it, varied things like that. You know what I mean? Even nutrients that I advocate that are essentials to start with. You know what I'm saying? Because when I go to the health food store, I go nuts with everything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always trying new things. You know.
How do you feel about sea moss?
Say again. Sea moss is very good. Sea moss is very good food. You know what I mean? It's very much a living food, very healthy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, a lot of our people make that. So you could always look. You know, I know people that do make that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm making myself in the blender.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Me personally, I've always big on chlorophyll drinks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had used for like almost 30 years. I've always used the chlorophyll powder. You know what I mean? And I still do to this day. So it's always consistent with that. You know. But the mentality of the diet is what I want to say. Like when we're eating, though, one of the things that makes Elijah Muhammad's book "How to Eat to Live." There's two of them, book 1 and 2. But you can cheat and just get book 2 because it really has all of book 1 in there, like the ideas,
I like book 1.
right? Book 2 is a little bit more expansive, so you want to read book 2. But this idea that Elijah's saying about how to eat carefully, with good mentality, a good feeling, you eat less though. But make that, if you have 1 or 2 meals, make those meals special. You know what I'm saying? Where you have a moment to actually enjoy them. You know, that's important though. Even the good food, eaten badly, is bad for you. You know, so like if you're eating and everything you eat is healthy, but it's all New York minute. You know what I'm saying? You're on the run, you're eating it while you're transferring to another stop. Like this isn't the way to eat. You know what I'm saying? And it's important to fight to find it, to have the discipline to wait and create that time where you can eat that meal the right way. You know what I mean? The same thing, you know.
It's like I read a Buddhist book that kind of said the same thing.
Right. In Buddhism, they always talk about mindfulness, right? I don't know if you ever read the works of the modern philosopher Thich Nhat Hanh. It's one of the best. His book on the Heart Sutra is my favorite. On the Heart Sutra, it's an ancient text, and I've always enjoyed his the best. But Thich Nhat Hanh, he talks a lot about mindfulness. So like when, let's say you're walking to the train or something like that, and you got the nice Air Max, right? Right? How do they feel? You know what I'm saying? So you're being mindful as you walk, though. You're feeling every step. You know? That's why a lot of Buddhism translates into the martial arts, though. Because in martial arts, though, it doesn't really work, though, if you're not mindful of each move. You know what I'm saying?
I think they said like see if you can wiggle your pinky toe type of thing. Like to see if you
Right. There's a lot of sayings that have to do with the connection that you feel from the top to the bottom. You know, my Sigung, as you know, my Sigung Bobby Whitaker, he's a original black man. He wasn't Asian. He wasn't typical Chinese. He was Chinese. You know, he taught us to breathe from the head to the toe. In other words, that energy that you draw up, because the chi energy that you develop is drawn up and it is dispersed throughout the body, though. So when you're breathing to be that conduit, to bring it everywhere. You know what I mean? That's what it means to breathe from head to toe, you know? The more that you imagine these things are real, the more they become recognized. You know what I mean? That's the idea with it. It's very mental. Everything is very mental. All right? Peace, well. Any questions that people have, any bills that they want to throw at me, anything that they want to throw at me, questions, what have you. You know what I mean? I'm coming to the school regularly, so if you're around the way, don't stop being lazy and staying home watching me on YouTube. That doesn't, that only block my view.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna go through some things today though. Like because you're here, I'm gonna go through the Supreme Math build. I'm go through it together. You know, that way I could show it to the people, and they could hear it, and they can have something to refer to when they deal with it. You know what I mean? But I want to see if I get questions from people here. Peace, God. But yeah, just turn it around. It's such a tradition that Blackboard would be up there, but It's not. You know? And of course, I keep saying this. I don't know. There's never something for me to draw on with this thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's never there. You know. But I don't have anything to draw now. I'm just saying I want to. I might have the feeling to make something visual. You know what I'm saying? Right. But yeah, that's important though. You know what I'm saying? That's important. You know. But even then, you know, just to close out that whole thing, the mentality of the diet is crucial because are you looking at things as far as fuel? Like, how is this supposed to energize you? And it is the only thing that you'll carry with you. You know what I'm saying? Right? You could be with the most beautiful woman, though, and you would love to carry her and everything. You cannot. You know what I'm saying? Your children are cute, right? We can't eat them, right? We tried this, and we tried to eat them when they were cute and squeeze them, but they don't transfer very well, right? But the food you eat, though, people are like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. And they put that in there, and they're carrying that shit. They're carrying that with them, and a lot of it isn't working. A lot of it isn't all that. So we have lots of steps here. We have the steps of first figuring out to eat the better food because we're eating shitty. Then we're carrying that around, and then we try to get something else though because that didn't really do a lot. And the food today is so much more calculated, scientifically calculated. It's only a couple of years ago, maybe in the 2010s at the latest, that the discovery of all of the parts of the tongue, taste buds, were figured out. In other words, what part of the taste buds take in the type of flavors that we eat: salty, crunchy, all of these things, right? Sweet, different type, special flavors, all that kind of stuff, right? And it's discoveries like that that have led to like the ability for like food makers, not just snacks and shit like that, but all types of things to be able to addict our palate to certain things. You know, like the potato chip today is such a scientific breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? Because it's made to dissolve, crunch, get the salt content, but always, and that's why plain. When we do the research, plain is always the one. Because plain it doesn't have enough, but it has a lot. What you want, but it's never enough, and that's why you can't eat just one chip. You know what I'm saying? It's designed for you to repeat that. Also, too, they discovered that fat in meals. Like we know when we were old school, like our grandmas, they make something right, and then you know the fat is there. That shit is like oozing on the plate. You know what I'm saying? But the body actually doesn't register fat. You see? So now, if you disguise things in the ingredients where you don't recognize that it says fat, and it seems to be okay, you can have people eating tons of fat. Like, for example, when people have things that are very sweet, right, that are over sugary and things like that, it converts to sugar. All white flour converts into sugar in the body. That converts into fat because it cannot store all that. It cannot transfer. That sugar becomes energy, but it can't do all that, right? It's a processed sugar, it won't work. So what happens is the person has more fat in them. The tongue is not recognizing it. Like it does, like if you eat something, it's like, yo, there's too much salt in this. You know what I'm saying? You don't recognize that with the fat. You know what I mean? It has to be associated with something that is very, very visible.
This fat don't got no taste.
It doesn't have that type of taste. Yeah. But now that they know that and how to manipulate that, now they just have to hide the fat in different ways. You know what I'm saying? And so this is all science. So when we're eating anything, we have to be very aware that the stuff that we're eating today isn't the same as when we were a kid. You know what I'm saying? It's much more strategic. It's much more calculated. It has way more science behind it. Some of the biggest places with food science, the biggest places, not some, but the biggest places that deal with food science are like companies like Hershey's and shit like that. They have whole laboratories, like giant laboratories. You know what I'm saying? So they're not gonna cure any diseases anytime soon. But they will have you eating that shit ad infinitum. You know what I'm saying? Endlessly. So all these things, like, what's the mentality of when we eat? If it becomes ideal, what I think, warrior diet, we're training to be a fighter, right? Because we never know when we might make that decision, right? Or the decision is thrust upon us, though, right? Because we don't have no decision. We can't say, listen, trained all week and this knee is a little, we'll meet up later, some other time. You know what I mean? Fights don't work that way. I wish they did though. You know what I'm saying? Right? So if these things are happening, then what are we eating for? How are we eating to give us that right amount of energy? Because then we have the things that Elijah talked about, how to eat to live, the right amount, the right atmosphere to eat your food. You know what I'm saying? I was telling the guy, all that New York minute eating is no good. People be having a perfect vegan meal, but they be eating them on the run. And that shit, it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? And then all that extra loading that people do when they eat, that loading, like when they're working out, they're bodybuilding and shit, and they're like, okay, I'm not cutting now, I'm loading. Now it's loading, and but it's a clean load, and they're eating what they think is clean. But let's say they was correct in everything they picked, they're eating so much of it that the body is just adding fat onto the muscle that they're developing, and it's tiring out the body, it's losing strength, but they won't feel that because they're getting bigger, and they'll be. Their mind will be pumped up that they looking bigger, right? And now they're drinking their pre-workout shake that's filled with all types of caffeine and all types of rush shit in there to get you hype. So it's an endless cycle of pumping yourself up, going down, pumping yourself up, and then manipulating their body levels. This is not what I mean. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things, what type of person you be, what type of physical frame that you're trying to develop, all these things need to be decisions when you deal with the knowledge of self. Like, what do you want to look like? If you're not ready to think about these decisions now, take the time and think about these decisions. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to answer that question, kids. That's a good question. Rome said they hide the fat in a lot of candy. Gelatin, Starburst, Skittles. Skittles don't have swine anymore, by the way. They just use like sugar constructs. And they start with the children to eat things. Then they have tooth pain, tooth decay, cavities. Right. I'm not advocating people eat Skittles, but they son one time yelled at me when he was eating a bag of Skittles, though, because I gave him the crazy face, like I was disowning him. You know what I'm saying? And then he told me that they didn't have pig in them. Which doesn't factor in my decision because now I don't want candy. It's fucking late.
Yeah.
They're late. They're late for me. You know what I mean? $7.93 piece. But the mentality of the diet is what you have to decide. Like Luigi, you're eating the right foods now, right? You're vegan. You're making decisions, right? But now you also have to decide, what is this diet for? How will it construct this body, and what is this body intending to do? You know what I'm saying? That's the key. You know what I'm saying? That's the next thing to look at. What you wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Right? When I became vegan, it was all the way back officially vegan, where I got rid of everything. It's pork 93. No, it was a dairy 93, all dairy 93, pork 94, everything else 96. But it was only when I started to do martial arts that I figured out what I wanted to do. So the end of 2000, I was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do with this. You know what I mean? So until then, I was kind of pudgy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
If it was vegan, it's good. Like, fine, I get my own vegan snacks and vegan things. And by the beginning of the 2000s, the vegan snacks and treats started to get a little better. You know what I'm saying? It started to get a little better. But peace, God, divine justice. So that mentality, what you're thinking, all of these things. You know what I'm saying? And also the way you deal with your own self, the mental. Are you aware when you're eating something that's not right and exact, or when you could do better with things? These are things to take note of in the diet. It's probably the most immediate moments where you could be in the middle of doing something that you shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? Right? That counts for everything. Counts for everything. Right? So that mentality of the diet is important, though. Kids, you said something. You said black seed, brown seed, yellow seed equals knowledge, wisdom, understanding seeds, respectively. Yes. Why can't a male have wisdom as his name? Because all of the even numbers are feminine. That's the answer. Except for Bill, they're 2, 4, and 6 are feminine, because it start with its instigation, man. And then through that number. It's 1 through 2. You know what I'm saying? It's 3 into 4. It's 4 into 5. You know what I'm saying? It's 5 into 6. And then what? Then 7. You know what I'm saying? It stops it there. It's the first 6. You know, so wisdom, you know, culture. I mean, some people have, I don't really know. I don't know any gods that have the word culture. I can't think of any.
But it's somewhat wise. No?
Right. But wisdom is the thing. When you say wise, though, it's character based. When you say wisdom, though, you're dealing with the degree.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a difference though. And these are supreme mathematical differences. These aren't SUNY, as the dictionary says, that's silly. You know, that's not, we're not fucking with the dictionary. This is supreme mathematical definitions. You know what I'm saying? You look up wisdom in a dictionary, which you should. You should look up all the words in the dictionary to see the amplification of them or the likeness. The definition of wisdom means knowledge. Like they use them as synonyms, right? They use them as synonyms. You know what I mean? But wisdom is the experience with that knowledge, you know? So someone can have lots of wisdom. And you say, but why are you in the same position you are in these situations? Well, because I don't have understanding of them.
Right.
I have a lot of wisdom on them, but I don't have great understanding of them. And that's not a fault. I'm not saying that's a fault. There's many things that we all have experienced and have lots of wisdom on, but we don't have a great understanding about it just yet. You know what I'm saying? That's all types of things. You know what I'm saying? All types of things. You know? And they get tested. They get tested. Right? Right. Raising children is a good example. I have 2 children, right? So you think that, oh, I have the wisdom, I experience these things. That don't mean I have the understanding. I don't mean that I'm gonna make the right decision, you know, when it comes again with my second one. You know what I mean? It definitely doesn't mean that. And a lot of times it does, and a lot of times it don't. You know what I'm saying? And also too, because it's not that experience might not sometimes experience with and that accumulates knowledge and that it may not be enough. You know what I'm saying? It may not be enough. You know what I mean? Right? People say I have experience doing this, so but it's hundreds of people that have come in this classroom. Yeah, right. But I don't have hundreds of children. You know what I'm saying? I got 2. It's different. You know what I'm saying? It's different under different situations. You know what I'm saying? Right? We're talking about, right? As a father, I see my kids, right, every other weekend. So technically, I could see the students in this inside this classroom more regularly than I could see my children, right? Because I'll see them once every week. I might have more hours with my child added up, but the frequency is different. You see somebody every week, you get more rapid updates of what's going on. When you see, let's say, your child every 2 weeks, many things have been resolved, whether incorrectly or correctly, over that time.
You see them after the fact.
As opposed to the week. So it's different. Everything is different. You know, it's not always the same. You know? Right? But that's important too. Let me open. I wanted to go through my Supreme Mathematics build. I haven't gone through that in a while. And again, these builds, I wrote them in a way that I didn't want people to copy them. You know?
Shakespeare law.
That's why they're written like that. You know, I don't want people to be like, you know, and I don't want people to, I don't like say, I have words for each one of them, right? I say understanding is a revelation of purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Only I said this. So you hear somebody saying that, you already know it. You learn it with Sunez, right? Like, that's okay, but I want you to have your own understanding. I want you to, there's only you in this world. You should be able to be the true and living God, though, with no one on the planet, though. You know what I'm saying? I didn't answer him, though. You know? And this God, he bought my book. And then, you know, so he opened that relationship. So he asked me a question. I don't think, he didn't get the book yet. It hasn't arrived there yet. But he's out there in a different place, you know, it's like in the mid-America and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he's asking me, like, how do I be God out here? You know what I'm saying? The simple answer is like, just be you, right? Be you, be right and exact. Set the standard of what it is. And we say, what's the standard? How how do you live out these principles? You know what I'm saying? And then you might be able to introduce them to that. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be the true and living first. You know what I'm saying? People sometimes overrate New York though. They overrate New York though. Like every corner. Like if you make a mistake, Kasim, because you're from Medina, like you're always near the heart.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, there's a God that's gonna hold your hand. It's all right, Kasim. Come with me. You know what I'm saying? Every time like you don't know something or you fall victim, like they're right there to pick you up. That's not really how it works. You know? In those places where the gods were strong, though, they're throwing it at you and you actually get introduced to it. But a lot of places in New York didn't even have the shit. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, where I'm from, though, I didn't have it, though. It wasn't in my neighborhood, you know? So I had to go get it. You know what I'm saying? So I have that experience where it's not a thing that nobody held my hand. I had to go in here and get it, though. You know what I mean? Right? We made, we broke inside. What was it? He made us, we broke inside loud, and got on like, do Tony Stark's, right? But I had to come here and I didn't know what the reception was going to be, And if anybody knows Day Sun, then the only reception he predicted was something melodramatic and very intense and very, mind-blowingly dangerous and yet awesomely, receptive and warm and utopia, but also hell, like, right? So I was like, do I have to know shit, or can I come here without knowing shit? Will I be accepted? He's like, you gotta be on point, they're bombing this and that. And I'm like, so that's why I came. When I came, I knew math, alphabet, and the 1 to 10. Because I was like, I gotta be on point. And I had read math books. I had read Message to Black Man already. I had already gotten into the Black books. So I read Destruction of Black Civilization, Chaitanya Diop's African Origin of Civilization. I read Malefia Santi's Afrocentrism, something like that. That book about that. Afrocentricity, I think it is. Right? What else did I read? I didn't get Ivy Van Sertima book because I didn't know about those. You know what I'm saying?
What made you even go in that direction? Because this was before you came to the school.
This is before I came here, so I never even walked the side of Harlem selling these kind of books. Right. You know what I'm saying? I just knew that these are the questions that were being posed. You know what I'm saying? Mm. So when I was looking for books that might go there. And I was in the Baruch College Library at the, in the area where nobody gives a fuck. And I saw these books. You know what I'm saying? In fact, to put that story, this is like 1998. What got me to write in my journal, right? Because a lot of people don't know how many journals I have. I spent years not writing journals, but since I started in 98, I'm finishing the 69th one. So it's a lot. But I maybe spent 10 years of those without writing. You know what I'm saying? Because I was writing so many other things. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to balance it. But like this decade, I write at least 1,000 pages, 1,000 journal pages. You know what I mean? And I started to write in a journal because I had taken Destruction of Black Civilization and read it. And before that, though, I used to rip out pages and keep them. But then I was like, the book was already broken and it was all falling to pieces. And I said, like, if I keep taking this out, they're going to blame this on me. And I'm definitely going to have to pay for this. So I got a journal and I started to write down everything I wanted to remember, everything I wanted to note. And as it went along with other books, I started to have a commentary, like my thoughts and opinions about what I was writing down. That was most important. And I tried to write them as if I was talking to the author. So I had to write them with the same diction, the same style that the author wrote them. You know what I'm saying? Professional approach, scholarly approach, right? What have you. You know what I mean? These developed my ability to memorize stuff, but also the way I would respond. You know what I'm saying? So these are the exercises that developed all this. You know what I mean? All right, let me see what's going on here. Okay. Right? And but yeah, that's what got me into that. You know what I'm saying? All of those books. I'm trying to remember, but even before, when I was trying to learn, I would always spend time trying to learn in different ways. So like when I was learning about my history, taking classes of Puerto Rican history, this and that, where I met my mentor, right? And I would look at books, like I would read about Rasta, I would read about these things to try to see like are these things that relate? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do they relate? What are the mentalities? You know? So I was like, if I don't bear witness to any spiritualities, at least I'll see if I take the best parts from the most conscious, the most builders, the revolutionaries, right? That was how I was doing in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Right? And a lot of it is music based, right? Like once I found Bob Marley, then I was like, I gotta learn about the Rasta. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. So that's what led to that, you know. But when I got to the black books, then I was like kind of putting those with Elijah's books and saying, listen, this, and I was given the lesson, and it said Father of Civilization. So I said, okay, these books will be relevant to that. And that's what got me into that path, you know what I mean? And into the path of writing everything in a journal, you know, all of that, you know. And I just kept it up. Because the writer that I thought I would be, I was not at the time. You know what I'm saying? Because I was what I am today is what I thought should be. But I wasn't really there yet. You know what I'm saying? And many times I thought, like, I don't know if I chose the right thing or not. You know what I'm saying? Obviously I did. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know it then, like that. You know? Right? Yeah. There's a lot of books. You know? But when I came here, I was well received, though. I guess the day of the good elders. It was nice. You know what I'm saying? Right? Colleen was always here, but I didn't meet him until later. You know what I mean? I think at that this particular day, the God P.E.A.C.E, right? Remembered in perfection. He was at the school. He was at the side of the store side of the school. You know, it was like that. Who else was here? My enlightener was not here. Probably all the other older gods that I didn't recognize. I think Umala was here, right? But you know, the gods that usually would show up on Saturday. But I never seen that. I never saw so many like brothers just studying, just to study shit. Never seen that ever. Any place I ever was at. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy to me. It was crazy to me. You know? It was a dope vibe. I had to come back. You know? Told me to come back Tuesday.
Mm.
The next class was on Tuesday, and that's who became my enlightener, and now it's me.
And so we had a Tuesday class.
Yeah, he taught Tuesday. Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you that story, God, but first day he had people go around the room and build the best they could on mathematics. And
On the whole mathematics or the mathematics for that
other day, the culture, you know? And I just said what I thought it would be. You know, man, I think I said something like, you know, I did know certain things, so I said culture is way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that we have to live our way of life freely. You know, I thought it was okay. I said some shit, you know what I'm saying? But he pulled me aside and I thought it was whack. I was like, I thought I failed. At the end of the class, everybody left. He asked me to stay. And he asked me some questions about myself.
Peace.
Right? And after that discussion, he said, if you continue like this, you'll be teaching here. You know what I mean? That's what he said to me. The first day I took his class, May 4th, 1999. You know what I mean? Don't forget those days. You know what I mean? But man, shit came true. But honestly, ever since the more I spoke, people saw I knew how to speak. Whatever I learned, I knew how to express it. So certain gods, savior knowledge, and especially knowledge me and savior knowledge, they was always taking me under the wing. You know what I'm saying? Read these books, do this. Like savior knowledge used to sell books out there. And there were certain books he wouldn't even let me buy. You know what I'm saying? He was like, that's too easy for you. You got to buy this. And then there were other books that he said was too hard. You got to work up to that. So like, I remember The Pale Fox was the book that one day I'm going to be allowed to buy that from him. You know what I mean? He wouldn't let me buy it. He also wouldn't let me buy Marcus Garvey's The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. He said it was too easy for me. You know what I mean? So I couldn't buy it though. But he would always, when I would be there, he'd always open up a book and show me a passage, and then I kind of have to buy it though, because you sold me some jewel in it, and that's where I got I bought all the Ivan Van Sertima books from him. Ivan Van Sertima, I don't know if you're familiar with him, one of the great scholars ever. He wrote a series of books called the African what is it called? African presence books, African presence in early Asia, early America, etc., etc. And they were not just books written by him; they were books where they were a compilation of different scholars on different subjects regarding that umbrella topic. You know what I'm saying? So some of them are amazing, like African presence in early Asia, right? Where you have like it shows you how the Moors, how they created string theory, so all the things that we deal with, like the cuatro, the tres, that's in Puerto Rico and Cuba. These are all the piano, the harp. These are all African instruments, and the theory that goes with it, developed in the Moorish empires, right? All of this stuff, great things. So they like the mixtape of scholars, like. If you don't know what book to get, you just like, I'm gonna get books from him. He wrote in this one, like it was a branch off book. And he also set a standard of how scholarship should be. In other words, not just telling you the questions that we're trying to answer, right? But also the questions that are being developed that are not answered as a result of all this. So he had questions that he would pose that are not answered, and hopefully future generations can do that. That's why sometimes it's such a disappointment that scholarship stays stuck on the first man that was here was black, the first man, like we know this already, but how does that develop? And how does that develop to all the seeds? How does that develop to the seeds going everywhere and being original everywhere, and then that recombining, and all these fluctuations that happen, right? We're not filling any of the dots. You know what I mean? And that was supposed to be the next level, but from that month of May to all the way to, April of next year, that's what I was doing in this school. I was here every day, all the time, and spending it with elders though. Then there would be other days where on the weekend, I would see other guys, like, people are free from work, they go, and I would be building with like more of my peers of the guys that are close to my age but had it longer, right? So then I would be hanging out with Darkim, you know what I'm saying? Freedom, going up, to the P.E.A.C.E, shit like that, right? Because Darkim's a little bit older than me, but in the knowledge itself, he's a lot older than me. You know what I'm saying? And I got this at 23. When I got this at 23, I was considered old to have the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Back then, it was considered old to have the knowledge. So it was refreshing to them, at least, though, that they didn't have to teach me not to eat pork. They didn't have to teach me to act civilized, kind of shit like that.
Oh, you got the whole shit out the way already.
Right. Yeah. So how are you going to teach me about pork, though? I don't even need animals, or So like, they're good on that lesson. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of shit that could be skipped with me. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was I didn't think that those would be like great times in my life. You know what I'm saying? But they were. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with elders like this all around every day. You know what I'm saying? They were great. You know what I'm saying? And it was the last of a generation. Right? So I literally am the last of the Mohicans. But when you get this knowledge, get a journal, right? You get a journal and you start see the things. One of the best reasons to have a journal, though, is to develop an honesty with yourself, but also develop an ability to judge your own humility. Sometimes humility has to be here. It can't be down here and it can't be up here. We all know about people that lack humility, and they think everything they do is great and shit like that. Remember, like when I record myself doing kung fu, it's cool to share like the parts that look cool You know what I'm saying? But I'm spending more of the time looking at like, man, that shit look fucked up. That shit came out wrong, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, or like when I have injuries, I'm like, oh, see, you know, that's a tell right there. Like I be doing shit like that because if I'm injured and shit, I don't have the opportunity to say, listen, this thing really hurts here. I'll catch you. This is not fucking He-Man, you know? I'll get you, right? Skeletor, and I could just walk away into the portal. And, you know, I'll come back for you. That's you, right? We're training for shit that might happen and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you ever seen that movie Ronin with Robert De Niro, right? That movie's a dope movie to watch though, because he's always thinking about situations as he's walking into them. And they ask him shit like this. They're like, you know, he goes into the bar and he has to walk through the whole thing. He has to go to the back, check the door, go back to the front. And the guy's like, what are you doing? He's like, listen, I don't walk into any place I don't know how to walk out of. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. He's dropping jewels to the whole thing.
What's the name?
Ronin. Like, you know, like it's like the samurai, Ronin. A Ronin in samurai is a samurai that has no retainer. Your retainer is the one that obviously is your livelihood, but he's the one that you give your life to protect. So let's say it probably wouldn't, it usually wouldn't be their dishonor, because then they would just commit seppuku, right? They would kill themselves. But usually if like something happened and they got let go, or their retainer died, like they just died of old age, shit like that. Like you'd be a Ronin, you'd be without a master, you know? You'd be without a master. And there could be many reasons for that. Battle, war, all types of stuff, you know, even exile, you know, exile, right? All types of reasons, right? So they called the movie that. And it has nothing to do with samurai culture, the movie. But it's a clever title because the way De Niro's character is, he's very much like a Ronin, because he's basically for hire, you know what I'm saying? So he's always doing a knowledge to how he'll survive and shit like that, you know? It's just a good movie. You know, De Niro shit. He's always on point, you know what I mean? But it's a good movie. Yeah. My brother has such a big movie collection. I gotta check it out myself, and all I have to do is click, because he has a huge digital collection in his iTunes, and he, you know, so I have access to watching all these movies. You know what I mean? He has his movie shit is like my hip hop shit, like my music shit. Like, yeah. You know, so we kind of mimic each other. Right? We are twins though, so we gotta do it up. You know what I mean? Okay. But that's important though. All right, where are the builds? Nobody's building here. Where's the builds? Where's the questions? You know, one thing, Luigi, right? Always have questions, because even if they're not questions you're gonna ask me, always be developing your next question, because it's a way to overtly, outright, consciously look at all the things you think you know and be making sure that you know them so you can develop your question. Your questions are based on all the things that you do know to construct the sentence that will lead you to what you don't know. And sometimes people don't know what they don't know. You see what I'm saying? So exploring other fields and then seeing this makes no damn sense. And that's why a library, by the way, we talk about saving knowledge, not letting me buy harder books and stuff. Let me tell you the build I had to get me my book. I'll tell you the build I had to get me the books that I wanted to buy from him. This is how I got Pale Fox, right? So he's not giving me the book. So after a while, this is like, I known him for a long time, right? Years. So I've been building. But then I tell the guy, I said, listen, I'm not up to this book yet, but I think a library needs to have 3 things. You know, just like you were telling me, like I have to collect for the children and all that. So I kind of put what he was telling me into a bigger context. He said, God, you told me to have books for the children and have to have books I'm reading, but I think the library needs to have books that I've read that are going to be passed down, the ones that they'll read, right? So you're not going to throw it away, even if you learned it well. You want them to read it, right? But the books I can read right now, but I also want books that will be for the next challenge, where I'm going, you know, something higher to aspire to, you know what I'm saying? And really find out what I don't know, or to at least figure out, I definitely don't know so many things in this. What are the kind of books I could get to get me to that? In other words, the missing steps. Score. Now I can buy the Pale Fox. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I mean? To this day, I haven't finished the P.E.A.C.E. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because it's hard for me anymore. It's just because I kind of like not finishing it. It reminds me that I have to continue. You know what I'm saying? The P.E.A.C.E. though is about is written by these French scholars that went into the Dogon tribes and stayed with them for 16, 17 years. Right? The Dogon tribes of Mali in Africa, right, are the tribes of original people that nobody knows how. I said they don't have a Western answer of how they know about certain stars out there and the actual mathematics of those stars and how it links up to their creation stories that make a lot of sense with other things. In other words, things in science like Big Bang, the expansion of the universe, shit like that. And one of them is the series the AB stars. They know where they are and they plot them, but you can't see those with the physical eye. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's why they were there. You know what I'm saying? That's why they were there. And I haven't finished the book, so I don't know what they thought about it at the very end. But there are books about the Dogon tribe, right, that are easier to begin with, like the Science of the Dogon. There's a scholar that wrote 2 books that are very good to start with. You know what I'm saying? I haven't, and that's why I've read them, but I haven't notated them. That's what I said. Everything I read, I make, you highlight, you bend pages, all that. I don't highlight in physical books, but I highlight on my digital books. When I notate them, then I really get them and commit them. You know what I'm saying? Then I really commit them, But there's a lot of books. If you're ever interested in the Dogon tribe, I have a lot of books about the Dogon people. You know what I mean? I don't think the P.E.A.C.E. is something that is available digitally. But let me see. I might be able to cop it right now. I become so spoiled. I don't like reading books I have to hold, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's like, shit. The guy.
I'm surprised to hear that from you.
Yeah, I mean, I read them. If they don't exist, I have to. You know what I'm saying? But I'm bougie. I'll be like, this is like so like 20th century. Right?
Book.
Yeah, holding the book. I'm reading. I got like for example, I got I never read it. I have it. What is it? Disco Wiz's autobiography.
Okay.
But it's not like an 8.5 by 11. It's a hardcover, but it's more wide. Those kind. And I'm reading it, and I'm all awkward. Like it just doesn't feel right. And then I don't read physical books, so now I have to like sit right so the light hits the book right. I have to worry about the light and do this whole. I didn't realize how much of a complex triangle that I have to set up in my life to read a book. You know what I mean? Whereas with this, you just adjusting the light and stuff. But this has the main drawback of this is that in the summer you can't just sit down and read a book.
Facts. Because
you can't see shit on the phone.
Facts.
Right? You can't see shit. So I want to get sun, but I don't want to be in the shade in the summer. So the physical books still, they kind of get. I read more physical books in the summer than any other season. Okay. Because I'd just be out there, but then I can't see that shit. I read a book. I spent 3 hours. It was Curtis Mayfield's autobiography written by his son, Todd Mayfield. It's a good book. And I was really into it. I love Curtis Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm reading it, but I was outside. And by the time I read like 50 pages, guy, and my eyes were so strained. I was struggling. Yeah. And I was like, this is not enjoyable. I have to bring the physical with me. I gotta bring the physical with me. Tree. Yeah. Because I wanted sun. I didn't want to sit under no damn tree. But That's peace. All right, my brother. Anything that you need. All right. Any questions? Anything? Just build.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Peace.
Don't forget your phone. That's peace.
Peace,
right. Malik, you said discern. Oh, you said brother, pardon, catch up. No, it's peace. discernment or the articulated thought is most influential to the Supreme Being and most high by the realization of Creator within self. Yeah, yeah. We have to take time. That's the job. Like,
Hey, pardon me,
peace,
sir.
God.
Was it too loud for a minute?
No, just for a
Loud.
second there, God. But yeah. That's peace, God. That's peace, God.
All right.
Like when you decide not to just eat pork, right? You have to start reading things now. The more things that are not good for you that you get rid of your diet, the more that you're taking away the popular foods that are easily available. You also put a responsibility in the system. Meat and dairy is very popular because it actually gives you nutrients by overload. And that's why people's bodies tend to hold disease as opposed to expelling. Especially when you become vegan in a good way, your body starts to expel very quickly. It releases things very quickly and it doesn't hold things, which also, if you don't do it correctly, you also can get sicker faster because you don't have that body that's going to hold disease. And you could overwhelm yourself because people are doing this by, they're being vegan by what they don't eat, but not what they do eat. You know what I'm saying? So like you're usually discovering great foods mad late. You know what I'm saying? Like all these foods, like most of my diet today, I didn't even know about it years ago. You know what I'm saying? When you think about it like that, all I knew. So it's a lot of white rice. It's a lot of beans, and beans are great, but we can't be like Elijah though, eat navy beans all day. You know what I mean? The love of he's ODing with the navy beans. Right? He was ODing. But you end up having like more of a mono diet because you don't know what the fuck to eat. You know what I mean? But the discovery of much more better foods, the brown rices, the darker rices, like most vegans have never eaten the red rice or black rice, wild rice, or tried it. You know what I'm saying? This is what we need to be doing. We need to be perfecting how to eat these kind of things and try new things. Quinoa, you know what I'm saying? Right. The different things, millet, you know what I'm saying? All these other types of grains, you know what I'm saying? Like my post-workout meal is really a bowl of quinoa and a lot of nuts and seeds, you know what I'm saying? That's really what it is, And that's done more for me than, because I've always been allergic to dairy but didn't recognize it, my body is very battered. You know what I'm saying? So like this, I always had like even sensitivity to like the protein powders. It's too much protein. Also, since I'm a smaller size, so if it's like load up with 30 milligrams, I can't do all that in one shot. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think anybody can either. I just think that they adjust to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think everything is in the right and exact amount. You know what I mean? That's piece 793. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm always reading on the phone. You know what I'm saying? And I love it too because like I could be with my kids and shit and put them to sleep and then I'll just be with them and I read. You know what I'm saying? Also too, I have made my phone more of a workplace. It revolves around three things: writing in it, music, and reading. So if I'm not doing one of those three, then I know I'm wasting time with the phone. You know what I'm saying? Which is okay. I'll waste time on the phone. I'll listen to your cheap song. The stupid song that I keep getting emailed every fucking. Take a break. You know what I'm saying? Malik, you said that. Oh, okay, that's the 7-9-30. Yeah, that's peace. Yeah, but it's always a struggle. And I think with our children, though, if we give them phones, though, we have to teach them how to use it the right way, to some kind of way, because the apps, they absorb all your time. You know what I'm saying? Right?
I didn't even want to get my daughter a phone.
Yeah.
But even before that, she had the iPad and shit. But it was just like, yeah, it's over after this now. Like, she got caught with the fucking technology bug and just being in that shit.
Yeah, all the kids are with that technology bug. It's annoying. Yeah, Roblox. Yeah. All the kids are going to Brookhaven, right? Brookhaven. If anybody's wondering, I'm having GT mushroom elixir. This is not really a kombucha.
They make.
They make their own. It definitely is.
Was it ashwagandha mushroom or something?
Yeah, it's let's see what it's got. It's got the reishi, chaga, and turkey tail.
Wow, you get that from Whole Foods?
They've been selling this one at a lot of Trader Joe's lately.
Trader Joe's, okay. I didn't know they have a mushroom drink. I want to try that.
Yeah. So it has the feel. It's fermented too, so it has that feel of a kombucha.
Okay.
But I was like, I usually drink my stuff late at night, but I was like, drink it now because it's gonna keep me awake. But it's good to be awake now. You know what I'm saying? It's okay because it naturally has caffeine. I drank one of those late at night though, and I was like, I went to sleep, but I had to train the next day, and I popped out of bed. I was like, that's cool and everything, but not really the way. Yeah, no, I don't want to do it like that. You know, because like all the ones that have natural caffeine, I think to me, what I've seen is the caffeine is different when it is from a leaf. You know, a brewed leaf as opposed to a bean. You know what I'm saying? It's different. I haven't read the carcinogenic studies and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But you still don't want to drink it after a certain hour. You got to drink the right things for the right time. And this tea classifies more of an energy drink. You know. Malik, you asked about protein besides beans. The green leafy vegetables have protein. Quinoa has a lot of protein. Brown rice has protein. The wild rices, black rices, red rices, they have protein. What else? Your tempeh has protein. That's a big protein source for me. You know what I'm saying? I like tempeh more than just soy. Tofu. You know what I'm saying? Because it's fermented, but then it's also mixed with other grains in it. So tempeh is usually done with 3 grains.
Okay.
And then they mix that with the tempeh, and it's all fermented. So you get you get sprouted grains, but that are fermented. It's really good for you. Any of the fermented foods that the Chinese and the Japanese eat is always good. You know, they're always helpful. You know, millet. Yeah, millet is definitely one. You know what I'm saying? Those are.
See, I thought fermented could kind of cause problems, but I guess what?
It depends on fermented, because anytime you over ferment, you're gonna get an alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna get there. You know? Yeah. Because now they even sell hard kombucha.
Yeah.
But it doesn't taste good to me anymore. To me, that's just over fermented. It's not a good tea. It doesn't have the nutrients anymore. You've killed it, to me. That's why this company, the guy that does it is very good. When he makes the tea that you would need you'd have to have you have to be 21 to get. When they get that level, they're still at a very, very low level. They're not even close to the hard kombucha. And hard kombucha, it's not really that intense, But after you go a certain level, though, it's no good. It's no good. I think it's not, You've over fermented, People balk at that, though, but all cheese is old. Every last cheese you eat is rotten. Every last one, That's churned and hardened, so it's just preserving something that's rotted, Whereas the fermented, though, something alive is happening to it, Right? And so, it's a good example, Tiger Bone. Tiger Bone's a great example. Because the ones that people drink from the Royal King Company, they've over fermented. They've taken it to the process where it's now just it's really just alcohol. It's just an alcoholic drink, But those are real pop. Those are real. Yo, honestly, that's because of the gods. We were the ones, my generation, we were the ones that were training and fucking with Baji Chu and Tiger Bone. We were the ones that were taking it everywhere. When you see Baji Chu with the juice bar and all that kind of shit and everybody drinking it, the rosters, everything, that was from us. We're the ones that brought that shit here. Because we were going downtown and training, and then Bobby was telling us about the type of tonics you could drink. And that would be, the Baji became the one that all of us loved. So when you see the older gods, they drink it, they put ice in it and shit like that. We wasn't drinking it like that. We were drinking it straight from the bottle. But we're supposed to drink small capfuls to draw up our chi and unblock things, you know? But it's potent. You drink a lot of it, though, you will be doing drunk kung fu. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know? Yeah. It doesn't take that much, you know? For me, I guess, you know? For me, you know? You give me like a cup of that, you know? Then I'll be...
Is the drunken style based on that particular
It
drink?
may not... No, it's not that particular drink, though, but it is based on getting drunk, though, you know? Because it's based on the deception of movement.
Yeah.
That's all the drunk technique is.
That was one of my favorite flicks growing up too. Drunken Master.
Yeah. Drunken Master. Yeah. Drunken Master 2. I love that one. That's my favorite. Yeah. Dance of the Drunk Mantis. I don't know if you ever seen that one.
I ain't see that one.
Yeah, you gotta watch that. That has my man
that
Wang
one.
Jiang Li, and yeah,
Okay.
he's the villain. You know. Why is weather synonymous with emotion or thoughts in the Bill degree and the Born degree? Weather is synonymous because weather fluctuates based on our realities. Everything that happens in the currents, though, is a result of what we do in the currents. So at its most pristine and pure, the way that we breathe and the way that we breathe as a populace, though, affects the atmosphere. You see? So theoretically, the way that we're breathing intensely, calmly, and all of these fluctuations affect the immediate atmosphere. See? And if you multiply that, you have weather. You have effects on weather. So the way that the degree is built, we are affecting the entire world, the way it works. You know what I'm saying?
Is that what like
Now,
photosynthesis?
yeah. And what you have, because people underlie, they're like, they don't really get how much like the animal and the human world are affecting the world through the way that we're breathing. But who affects the animal world the most, though, is not other animals, but humanity. And then the equation gets skewed because humanity, led by this westernized civilization, right, so-called, they mutate the earth with the technology. And so they're affecting that as well. You know what I'm saying? But at its most basic, the weather of things, right, is based on how you are drawing in and drawing out the moisture in your breath. And that theoretically would affect. That's why when you say, these native indigenous tribes, they do a rain dance and shit like that. Theoretically, that science is correct. If it was possible that way, people that have more in tune, more power with their breath, more ability to control their chi, right? Because we have to say that if these sciences were ancient, that we're learning about this, it means that people had mastered it as groups and were able to do things that we weren't able to do. And especially with the Native Americans, because all these Native American tribes, the hundreds that were in the Americas, they all knew the science of planting things all at the right spot. So they were very in tune with the weather as well. So it's not just an idea of affecting and making the weather, but they also knew how the weather would be affected. And then they affect it because now the things that they plant affects the weather as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's all like this give and take. So everything on the planet affects the weather that gets drawn up because that Bill degree, what is causing rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes is just gravitation. But gravitation is how fast the moisture gets up there and how concentrated it gets up there and how much. But it's humanity and everything that we affect that is drawing in the moisture and then releasing the moisture. You know what I mean? And then that in line affects even the plant world and how they release the moisture through the release of oxygen. You know what I'm saying? So all of that is in tune. So it's really the life on Earth that affects the weather, and we look so disconnected. It's because it's just a giant ball and everything, or a disc, just in case Lord Jamal is watching. Yeah, this asshole moment was brought to you by, just being a dick. But yeah, I don't know how that works on a disc though, We get weather because it's always, it's like You know, I don't know. When people say the Earth is flat, I just keep thinking of Superman 2, where the bad guys were in that. They were trapped in that little thing, the crystal, like
Yeah,
you
I
know.
ain't see that one.
Yeah, with Christopher Reeve, you gotta watch it. Though,
Yeah.
And they're trapped. Like the bad guys were exiled. So they're exiled. They put them in. So the graphics is mad cheesy. So it's almost like a clear, flat diamond or rectangular disc that they're in, and all three of them are trapped in there forever. Like and they're just floating through space. But somehow it crashes in some thing, and they get free. But they get free around Earth's atmosphere, and you know they're from Krypton.
Okay, yeah.
And they get exiled. So that's how they didn't die when Superman, the planet blew up, right? They didn't die because they were criminals that were exiled.
Yeah, it might be some symbolism there.
Right? So when they explode in space, but they don't die because they're right by the yellow sun, so they have the same powers as Superman. It's a good movie. It's the best movie Superman movie. But yeah, I don't know. I just think of like the Earth like that, like the flat Earth like that. You know what I mean? Like we're all trapped in this flat disc and shit. Like, you know, they want to say the Earth is flat, but they don't want no flat Earth, right? They don't want the Earth flat though. They want the Earth is flat, but they don't want their Earth flat. You know what I mean? Right? That's Peace King. All right, Malik. So when this mist strikes, it becomes a thought or precipitation. You be doing the most. I love that train of thought messing with. Okay, let me go back, right? Because Malik is getting lost in the metaphor of it all. And just try to get the understanding of the degree first before we get lost in the metaphors. The degree is what? What makes rain, hail, storm, earthquakes is simple. It's a cycle of precipitation that's based on gravitation, the heaviness of those clouds, the development of those clouds is literally just water. It becomes too heavy and it distills in certain forms depending on the atmosphere, the temperatures that are around, right? But what I'm saying is that all of us affect the nature of the environments around us, though. You know what I'm saying? We know it too. It could be a regular day, though, but people are experiencing things more tensely, right? So you could have weather. Look, this is no coincidence, right? In the hood, 90 degrees, though, could be a very claustrophobic, intense 90 degrees. But if you had the same exact humidity, same exact temperature, same exact technical elements, but you were relaxing in the Bahamas, it's not the same. So that distilling, that gravitation, it distills back to the Earth's surface. The shit ain't the same. Distills back while you're in the Bahamas. You're like, oh man, this is awesome. You're singing in the rain and shit. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's different. That's not just because of the place you are, because you could be in the same temperature in the same place. It's because of the nature of what is being drawn up. You see what I'm saying? So people are drawing this shit up. You know what I mean? The weather is different. The weather is different by how we affect it. This whole city is not built with any kind of weather thought in mind. None whatsoever. That's why you walk past blocks, especially in Manhattan, downtown. You walk past blocks and it's cold as ice and the wind is crazy. You cross the street, you walk up the block, and now it's all sunny on the shit. They took no consideration though about the balance of the weather that would be happening. None of that at all. And nobody thinks about this only if there are people that have achieved it. And the Moors since we talk about the Moors did this. In African presence in early Asia, there's an article about the Moor cities and how they designed them to have air fluctuation, right? Something that happens in most apartments and homes. There is no consideration of how to fluctuate the air. They've only thought about this so that they could set up HVAC inside your home and pay you charge so you could get proper distribution of air. But in a lot of apartments, for example, right, whether you're in the projects or anywhere, you open the window and nothing is coming in. There's no air circulation. You know what I'm saying? And the only time you get air circulation is when the weather is brutally cold. But then you don't want to open the window. You know what I'm saying? These are things the Moors actually used to think of. and how they would align the city. So it was not just important how they built the building, but how the building was built and how it would affect the air currents in the streets. There's all shit that they thought of. That doesn't happen today because if I could buy shit and I could put my building here, I don't give a fuck about how the person that's walking down the block, I don't give a fuck about him. You know what I'm saying? So they're just gonna build based on the economy. They build based on the economy that they can make. It hasn't. There's no communality. You know, there's no communion with the people on that level. You know.
So what about the earthquake aspect? Like, what's our
This takes the earthquakes has to add more. The earthquakes adds more because now we're talking about the way that the earth rotates, right? The actual lava that's developing in the earth that rebirths the earth, that rejuvenates it, like changes its landscape, right? And that balance. But that's also based on its rotation. That's also based on what's happening on the planet, though.
and the people that's
Right.
in space?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And that counts too, you know? And again, look, today's humanity affects it more. Like fracking is a great example of how you could cause more earthquakes by human.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You're digging past levels where you're breaking into ground that actually could release dangerous chemicals into the atmosphere. And you're also breaking bedrock and structure. You know? And they be acting like everybody that fracking has been devilish since day one because by the time they made fracking, they already knew what bedrock was, how to make a skyscraper, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That you need solid matter and you cannot fuck with that, right? So for them to fuck with it and do that, they knew that where they were going to go do that, you know, reservations, you know, where the indigenous are, shit like that, you know what I mean? Right? Places that might only have shit. If they could frack in Brownsville, and frack in Brownsville, you know what I'm saying? Right? King said, God, remember we were building on the 8th degree a while back and how it can be associated with the mood of a woman. All because of a woman. Yeah. It's all because of a woman. Yeah. Absolutely. When we deal with the emotions, the earth motions, a lot of guys say the earth motions, the emotions, right? As if they don't have any. We don't have any. Because, you know, we're the gods. We're supreme. We don't have any emotions.
Well, shit. What's wrong with me then?
Right? We don't have
some of this shit.
Yeah. But this now you got me laughing, King, but it's all because of a woman, you know. But this whole thing about drawing up the earth, it relates to the black woman because when you deal with your black woman, what you're doing though is you're showing her hopefully you're choosing well.
That's the first
right? Because she can't be somebody that is like she can't just be clay that looks good. Like there's no such thing as moldable clay, you know?
But what about, you know, the whole concept of us being 5%ers and we find those who don't got the proper knowledge of themselves and not living the right type of life. So, you know, we go down and then lift them up and bring them up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you might meet something with some potential or she might have some interest in all that, but she's still not right and exact because of whatever traumas and all this other shit, which we all kind of deal with too. You know what I'm saying? But it gets difficult and becomes a task at times. So it's like, but sometimes finding the Diddy two shoes that ain't all that great either,
because the foundations of their way of life though might have good principles based on religion, based on wrong things. So do you get a woman that's doing the right thing based on wrong ideas? Or do you go to the other extreme and get a woman that's doing the wrong things but has the right idea?
Right. Just
you know what I'm saying?
Guidance,
right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm gonna say this though. Whoever become as great as the woman that you want, and you draw that up though.
That makes sense.
You know, the queen I'm building with now, I always joke and I always tell her the Nas line. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no game. It's just bitches understand my story. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever I am, though, I put that out into everything, so they would understand. If they understood what I was doing, they're halfway there. But you also have to be a good listener to what you're listening to, and to what is there. Because if you're dealing with a woman, they ought to have some type of accomplishment. And I don't mean just make money, this and that. I'm not talking about that. But in the principles that you have, that they have some accomplishment in fighting for integrity, in taking a stand with ethos, having their own ethos. You know what I'm saying? We have such a low barometer about that. You know what I'm saying? That we're not, like,
Shit.
do we want women to have like integrity? You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as anyone that didn't make mistakes, though, and make them repeatedly, right? Because we're older, though. So, like, shit, we got a whole bunch of those too ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But did they go into situations and they continue to develop more of their integrity, more of their ethos? This is what should be important to the 5% looking for someone that teaches their woman. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. You know what I mean? And just like women value one thing, women value the works that you put in. You know what I'm saying? Then we should value women that have works as well. You know what I'm saying? What have you done? What were you willing to do? All these kind of things. You know what I'm saying?
I just seem to come across those that just know how to shake their ass well. That's the.
Yeah.
I'm a DJ, man. I be attracting shit that.
Yeah.
You be thinking, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, what's your past, your history?
Yeah, he's a DJ, and all these women, they just want to be played.
Oh, really? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, shit crazy out there. Shit really crazy out there with the pickings.
Yeah, 790, you caught that. Yeah, I feel like something about to get burnt out here. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Feel hot at night. Right? We gotta, King, you said we gotta flip that old Orange Juice Jones walking in the rain beat around about the 8th degree. Yo, King, yeah, let's do that.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be funny like that. Yeah, we gotta do that. Yeah. Let me see. 790, you said relaxed, warm climate and reality to get away, describing a time and place in the world where the climate impacts the majority, caught up in 6. We just don't see it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see how you're influenced by the environment. You know what I'm saying? You go into a place and you're all of a sudden getting angry. This is why the great variable to control is you and your knowledge of self. Because now when you feel different, the first thing you should say is, what is affecting me, as opposed to, I'm this type of person that's going to be like this now. If you say to yourself, that's not the person I am, then now you have more power to say, what is causing me to be this type of person right now? See? So that's why it's always having awareness of self, being mentally aware, mindfulness at all times is the way. All right, peace analog lady. 793rd, choices, right? Choices. You know what I mean? Choices. Mikhail Allah, peace, Sunez, peace. Apologies, I had to tune in back on your courses. I've been dealing with a severe case of neuropathy. I'm getting back to my diet, learn not to take things for granted. Okay. Email me if you want to build. You know what I'm saying? Email me if you want to build, so we could build if you want to build personally on some of the things you might want to add on with. But yeah, it's always, nobody's missing anything. That's why I'm recording these, so you can watch them and see how it goes. You go back. But one thing about the whole metaphor with the lessons, right, is that we also get lost, though, and then treat the woman like she's a tool. Because when you do the metaphor of the build degree, it becomes a little bit too much of, women got the strings on them. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, God, the woman that you draw up, though, you'll draw it up just being yourself the way you ought to be. be the way that you ought to be, and you would draw that up. You know what I mean? And then it needs some, because a lot of the relationships that people start, they clearly are going to distill fast anyway. You know what I'm saying? And they only have that one distill moment. They have that one ending. Relationships aren't like that. Relationships are like the weather. They're not like that weather event. A lot of people are dating people as a weather event. I drew her up and she distilled, boom, I'm on, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes new edition, right? Can you stand the rain? Right? But the thing is that dealing with a woman is like that reality. What makes rain, hail, snow, and cakes? But it's a cycle, though. You share things, and you're drawing up your thoughts. She's seeing your thoughts. She's reflecting those thoughts, but she's drawing them up into her own mind and using them. And what's being distilled back, though, is the positive, negative, all of the reality of the influence of that. And then how does it get channeled back up? Right? How does it nurture? How does it nurture? How does it come down and actually nurture? Right? Because that distilling is nurturing. Right? So how does it do that? Right? This is something to think about too. You know what I mean? And often not, But I just don't want people to think about these metaphors and then abuse them, which is usually the case. Usually, right? It's usually the case. They get abused that way. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I could draw a black woman. So they say fancier shit. It's not, that's not going to help you in the long run.
Way.
Nah, it's not. It's not. You know what I'm saying?
It's really your actions and what you actually born in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you operating from your potential, but not necessarily making shit happen all the way or whatever, or you ain't really in tune with your own magnetic, you can't expect to quote unquote like fully draw up or
no, you can't.
To be a easy process. Like I learned a lot about myself through the failed relationships and shit I had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we have to. Yeah, we have. If not, then the way I see it, though, this is how I see it, right? The mistakes you make in relationships over the years, if you get the best out of them, in other words, the best understanding out of them, the best insights out of them, that's what's going to prepare you to deal with the woman that you really can be with. You know what I'm saying? And you have to get that understanding. You have to look at it like yourself. What did I do? All right, it's over. No matter what, I think they did these things wrong, and that's why it definitely has to be over. But what are the things that you did wrong? Because you might have done the wrong things all for the right reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But these wrong things cannot be done. They shouldn't be done. And now you have to think about that as well, because we get into a battle of, it becomes toxic and shit. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because you're just retaliating like that. So what do you really learn about that? And then try to do your best to make a relationship with. That doesn't have to happen. Right. That's what you want. You know what I'm saying? That's what you want. That should be what the experience is giving us.
What's your thoughts on the subconscious mind, even in because it relates to this in a sense too, because myself and other people have I keep finding myself in the same type of relationship or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I got the knowledge and I got some wisdom, but I still ain't get to that great understanding. So I'm attracting the same type of relationship. But I hear a lot of times we attract the same type of relationships, or we know something, but we don't really change because the subconscious mind got muscle memory, and you end up still doing the shit that you say you know what I mean? It's like with the phone, let me get off Instagram, and you close it out, you put the shit, then 5 minutes later you let me check. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it happens on a greater scale too with shit like that. So it's how do you get control of your subconscious mind, or is there any degrees that kind of deal with the subconscious mind versus the conscious mind?
I think this guy, we have all types of clues about our subconscious, but they have to be exposed with different outlets of how we share. To me, doing it this long, martial arts is definitely one of them. They draw out a lot of subconscious about you because you're having to do things with your body all the time that are different, or you're having to do the same things with your body greater and greater every time, right? So there's a mastery in that. Acknowledging the dreams and what is being presented to you, like how your mind is presenting things, how your mind is putting things together. So the dreams mean something. How you express yourself continuously. That's why I say the journal is important for that, because it's not just the writing, but it shows you the travels and the fluctuations and the changes you've gone through of how you express yourself. How you express yourself depends on who you're expressing yourself to, and also how much you're learning and actually absorbing and using. You know what I'm saying? So it shows a change immediately. And now those differences over time, though, say a lot about the person. They say a lot about your subconscious. Because what is it in the subconscious that we're trying to get to? Well, we're trying to get to the matter of repeating certain things and all these kind of things. And we look to the subconscious because the subconscious is repeating things automatically that we think, like a breathing, a heartbeat, things like that. But if the mind decides to become aware, it could become aware of anything. Just like the breath is the best example. It'll continue to work as we work. But when we decide to control that breath, we are controlling that breath. And now it's not subconscious.
Okay.
See? So it's how you dip into your mind to see what is being subconscious and what isn't. And I think sometimes it's like important to like write things out for yourself. What is the type of woman that you need? Not just to think about it, but also write it down. You know what I'm saying? Because we may have a great idea of what we want physically, right? Physically is this, we already know. But mentally and how they would respond to things like that. You know what I'm saying? These are things we don't see. And that's why when they're happening and they're wrong, we'll be too late to notice that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I spent a lot of time, though, thinking about stuff like that. And I wrote a lot of pages about that. You know what I'm saying? So those become very important to me.
You need a 5% dating book.
Oh, my goodness.
Or from this culture that, like, we got it with everything else. We still ain't throw a
you want me to write this shit.
Somebody.
I got two baby mamas.
I
I'm getting closer in that where I might be able to write that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm dealing with a queen that's writing exact. So I might be able to write that. You know what I mean? Give me about 10 years and shit.
Got you.
Give me about 10 years. So that way I could write all of it. How I have all the other shit. I could write about how brilliant it is and put it all together.
Exactly.
It'd be awesome.
Or
like I said, when you deal with a woman, though, it's, a lot of it is about the sincerity. Do they genuinely want to learn things with you? So I said, learn. People, especially the guys, like, are they supposed to learn from me? But there's things that you're gonna learn together. You know what I'm saying? And do you want to do those things? When you teach them the things that you know is right and exact, are you willing to take the questions? Because a lot of times people like, and I'm saying this teaching this many years, I know I'm telling you something that's right though. But every time somebody asks us a question that sounds like disagreeable, like sign of disagreement, like the brother that I'm teaching right here, he's just a new student. He actually asks me, he asks questions like, what I tell him what to study and everything, and he goes, "What if I don't agree with all this?" So he expected that, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn it, those right and exact. You just acknowledge that, God, like you acknowledge that. Your name is, and then fuck it. I just gonna give him a name, though. You know what I'm saying? But he's supposed to question and stuff like that. But then we're dealing with a woman, though. We don't know how to deal with the question. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how to deal with the question. I'll tell you how many people this happens a lot with people that were a little bit my student. more so than people who are really my student. They bring me women of theirs to teach. And so if you was learning with me, you probably would do better with that. You know what I'm saying? Because you would learn how to articulate the things that you understand. I'm not saying you need my understanding to teach them. I'm saying sometimes this knowledge in the classroom setting will teach you how to articulate what you need to know. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us have this knowledge and they don't know how to articulate it. And they only know how to build by quoting degrees. And then they talk to a woman and it's like, none of this shit is working. I don't, because it's all degree based. It's all
degree based, and
it's all language.
On the black man is God.
So it's so heavy in the dialect that it's not transferable. That's why I said you have to remember how you were as an 85, so you can get back to that.
I mean, I had this chick be like, okay, so where's the lessons for the women? Like, and I'm like, okay, you got what the 11th, no, the 14th degree that speak on the Muslim training.
The 14th degree, yeah, the MGT and GCC.
Like, well, this is one in the degrees that I'm in right now. But you're like, okay, but like, who wrote it? I'm like, Elijah Muhammad and Bard put it together. So he's like, where's the lesson that a woman wrote? I'm like, yo, it ain't none. I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? But it's bills and it's earths and queens that contribute to the culture, and they put their own understanding.
I'm gonna keep it real. There are many gods.
They see the lessons. They just don't see themselves in it.
A lot of the gods that I've seen with very long-lasting positive relationships. I'm not saying that they keep it to themselves, but it's not like they're doing seminars about their success.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And in this nation, though, we had to transfer some kind of way to have actual viable families, because the gods wouldn't do that. We just fruitful and multiply, but they weren't really good at doing the family thing.
Right.
You know, we know the elders. They're like, you know, they meant well, but like it didn't happen that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We meant well, and it didn't happen that way, right? Like, you know, like I had two babies. Both of them, they both were given this knowledge, like, you know. So at the end, I'm good, you know, like on that, like I gave them, you know, whatever they did with it, you know, or didn't do with it, you know, right? But a lot of the teachings, that's one teaching that we'll have to find gods in that have been successful like this. But the simplest foundation to me, God, is like, listen, if they're not willing to listen, if they're not willing to be somebody that is like a student, someone who's willing to be wrong about anything at any given time, then it's off. See, the thing about us, though, is we have to understand, this is something I learned about, too, is that no matter how calm I say shit, it comes out very authoritative.
Same with me.
You know what I'm saying? Because all the years of me studying, when I say something, it has the years of study behind it, the years of experience behind it. You know what I'm saying? And with a person to see that kind of truth that wants to be with you and stuff like that, that could be very, even if they see it as right, it could be like, damn, man, like, there's no, like, I feel like I can't question it. The person's naysaying questions are not to disagree. When they're done at the best level, they're actually done so they could expand the scope of how you've explained it. Right? Because we know that the black man is God. But we keep asking questions about it because we get new answers to expand that scope. You know what I'm saying? Right? Shit. A lot of the basic answers would be like, look, the white man is the devil. We got to be the ones controlling this. And in today's day and time, that's too basic.
Right.
That's too basic. But I'm telling you that was a build. That was a build. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, shit, that's how I saw it initially. And I was like, they put so much focus on destroying
you learn about ancient civilizations. You learn that there was some type of peace. You learn it superficially, or not superficially, but just what they're showing and what we've dug through. And in your mind, that's what I'm saying, because of the lack of scholarship, not the incorrect scholarship, but the lack of scholarship to go beyond and give all the dots in the timeline, We build this shit as a utopia. Let's not say, look, in the 90s when they was dressing dashikis and all that shit, they were dressing in the garments of utopia. No one's gonna tell me anything different. It was the garments of utopia. This was what they wore when everything was good, and people wore it. You know what I'm saying? Now, if people thought like Kemet, they was a great civilization, but then they fell victim to this, they fell victim to that. The devil came, and all these other things, right? And that was also in history as intense as like how the black man lost the civilization. Like all of the history was equally dealt with and completely dealt with. You think that they would wear dashikis with the same mentality? You know what I'm saying? It would be a little bit different. You know, it would be a little bit different. You know? Let me look at what's going on here. That's Peace, Malik. The journaling has helped me tremendously. Okay.
Same.
People don't like to be questioned nowadays, Sunez, and the art of listening as well to each other. Yeah.
Facts.
Listen, when I used to get this knowledge, though, many people wouldn't listen to the gods. Like they would, you know. No, this is why a lot of gods are like they are. You know, you don't blame the gods. Like they knew all this shit. And then they reached the years where they had so much experience, though, and then somebody comes in and like, oh, but, you know what I mean? I said, listen, just listen. You know, like I was building with a young god, a student of mine that I taught. He had a young god, and he called him up, and it was about music, but it led to other things because it's about the whole Kanye thing, right? And he's asking about Kanye stuff and the music and stuff. And I was just talking about the music, and I'm like, let's put things in perspective here. This kid hasn't heard that much music. So whatever you think is great music, though, it's not, you don't have a long palette anyway. Your palette is not that deep. Like, think about it. Like, people will like certain music, like, let's say hip-hop, not hip-hop today, but they'll like certain hip-hop, but they don't even know the samples, which means that they don't know the world that it came from, which means that their palette is very low, it's small. It's like somebody that only ate McDonald's and says, this is the greatest thing ever. They don't have a palate for food. That's why, like, when people, as a side note, people become vegan, you have to adjust your palate, you know, because you've already had a certain amount of intense salt, concentrated sodium, concentrated sugars, all of these things. Your palate is weak. You'll eat something else and you'll be like, oh, this tastes like grain. Oh, this tastes like I'm eating dirt. Like, you're not tasting like all the different flavors that food can give you. You've gotten the simple palate. You have to kind of like get off the simple palate and be ready. Same thing when you're teaching somebody now, especially an adult that's a woman that you're teaching. She's an adult. You have to respect that she survived and thrived in some kind of way that made her worthy to you to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to say, wait a minute, but here are the things that might be missing to that, you know? But there's also things missing because then you wouldn't really need her. She wouldn't be interdependent with her, you know, if there were things that were not missing from you too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right? And we have to have that give and take. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Relationship advice with Sunez Allah.
I'm telling you, put the book out, God.
Goodness. It's funny because just today I didn't order my own copy. So I ordered my own copy, so I finally got my own copy.
Okay.
Because I wanted a copy to carry around. So I wanted to say something about the book. This is, you know, some people bought it and they bought it for me, which is great. But they call it a study guide. You're not studying the course by doing this. You're studying my experience building this course.
Okay.
The most things that are important to me as my experience of this course. So you're going to get a lot of teaching in here, but you're not really, you know, like you didn't come to the course reading this, you know, and reading this though, you'll get an idea, but you would have been okay if I had never seen you and I built with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely not like that, you know? And like I was saying, the book is really based on two essays that make up the bulk of the book. The Kite of Perfection, which is something I wrote in 2003. Like, this is how long ago I wrote it. And there was a God I was building with. When we get knowledge and stuff, especially at the school here, the gods used to have us. They used to have us write letters to God. Write letters. Some of the letters that come in generically, we would write back to them. And a lot of people I know now in actual the streets in real life, they was locked up. And I was writing to them. There's one God. I gotta tell the God he invited me. This God Rob Bourne I was building with, and he was really peace. You know what I mean? Like he actually made like a birthday card for my daughter when she was real little. Like, and so he was real peace. So I said, what would be like a piece if I wrote like the perfect letter to a God in jail about what this knowledge would be and what he needs? And so I wrote Kind of Perfection. That's when I wrote that. So that was like a major thing. This has the majority of the understanding of this knowledge. But the second major essay that really make up the bulk of the book, like this is how much of this book is this. I'm trying to see how much. I mean, yeah, it's like 90 pages in the book. So that's a whole bunch. So it's like from 7 to 90. So that's really the bulk of the book. And the second essay that's the bulk of the book is The Blackest Pedagogy. So back, when did I write that? That was 2003 also. I was bugging out then. And this essay I wrote, like, what was my experience becoming a teacher and what I intended to be a teacher. So when you read it now, you realize that a lot of things I said I would do as a teacher, I did it. But I wrote it in 2003 when I was only teaching for about 3 years. So in the fourth year I was teaching, I wrote this. And it's like I wrote that history in advance. It's literally the history written in advance about what a teacher should be, the nature of the teacher, what they should do, how I will be that, like all of that. So that's that, you know what I mean? So to me, it's useful for like 5%ers, people that are actually 5%ers, you know what I mean? That are actually teaching out there, And then other stuff is like some of the Peace Course columns that I thought I just wrote nicely. Other things that I wrote for the Mecca Mission when I created the Mecca Mission, you know what I mean? Let me see what else is in here. And I didn't want to put anything that was going to be too confusing. I wanted the 85 still to follow. You know what I'm saying? If you don't follow, it's because of the complexity of the way I write, not necessarily like what I'm putting in, Yeah, so that was it. I think the only plus lesson I put in here is the build awareness square, like the 5 things to take note of, the justice curriculum. But I kept it simple. Some of the other stuff is really for us, though. You know what I mean? I always write my books for the populace. I don't write them for 5%. You know what I mean? Even though The Blackest Pedagogy, that shit is about teaching, but it could apply to any revolutionary that's teaching righteousness. You know what I mean? It really could apply to that. Those ideas. Yo, King, do you have some good wisdom that helps with relationships and how certain elements tie in with the elements? It's back to the relationship advice, right?
See?
Yeah. That's what they want. You know what I mean? I think people could feel that I'm in a good relationship. They could feel it, though. They could feel it, though. I'm not even. Maybe I'm smiling more. That's why. But
That'll do it, too.
That'll do it. Yeah. Right. I would say in the lesson, let me see, in the lessons that build, it's really the nature of the way you take in the lesson, the way you take in how do we teach, civilization, righteousness, the knowledge of self, right? Civilization means showing them the surrounding world. You know what I'm saying? If you deal with a woman, though, you show them the entire world. You show them the world. You show them the world that you're in. how the world that you're in, though, you look at it differently, and how it has a different perception for you. You know what I'm saying? Right? And when you look at things in that, when you show them the different perception, then they'll understand that you come with a different perspective that isn't just trying to be offensive. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times when I teach, though, I have to give disclaimers a lot that I teach a lot differently than other teachers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like my way of teaching is very unorthodox. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, if you're scared to build in this classroom, though, you're not gonna get it, though, because you'd be tore down. You know what I'm saying? When I got knowledge, I had to build in front of all the elders, though. Even when I remember doing the 1 to 40, God, the whole 1 to 40, and I thought I was only my enlightener knowledge me, and I was ready for him. Man, everybody starts rolling in. Every elder that existed in the universe, though, like even the ghosts start coming in. And I was like, firstborn prince comes. I was like, yo, this is gonna go horribly, man. Feeling all hot and I'm sweating and shit. Like, but I just tuned it out. You know what I'm saying? I just tuned it out. One thing I did, I'm nearsighted.
Okay.
So one thing I did, a lot of times when I do it now, because I kind of, here's what happened, though. This is a side thing. When I speak in public, though, what got me to speak in public so good is making sure I'm prepared what I'm going to say. But I'm nearsighted. So I just didn't wear my glasses. So everybody just looks like a blob.
Try that.
Everybody.
Nearsighted means you can't see far, right?
I can't see far.
Yo, I'm gonna try that.
So everybody looks like a blob. So if somebody's like this and they're looking at me like, this nigga, that looks like a smile. They smiling at me. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I'm gonna try that.
So I don't see them. You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
So it taught me how to have like tunnel vision and shit.
Right.
But as I taught more and more, what happened that got rid of that, now that's not even useful anymore, is because I kind of feel people. So I'm kind of feeling their aura. Like I really feel it.
Mm.
So I know who's getting it. I know who's not. You know what I'm saying? And if I speak to a larger populace, I kind of could feel that. You know what I mean? Even beyond eye contact, you know? So now I can have my glasses all good and everything. You know, I don't mind. But that's what I was doing in the beginning. And it happened once, and I had to do a speech for college. It was a business course. And I was prepared. But all of a sudden, as it was about to start, all the fucks about this class disappeared. I gave no fucks.
Mm.
And I didn't even finish yet. I was about to speak. And I was like, this class is stupid. So I went up there. I was like, yo, I am about to forget everything because I don't care anymore.
Right.
So I said, let me take off the glasses. And it went great. I was just like, let me just spew it out calmly, sure. Like, and I basically was talking to myself. I just basically was talking to myself, and I just gave eye contact because I'm looking at everybody's forehead. And that was good enough, you know? Yeah. But in the classroom here, I really am talking to each person. You know what I'm saying? So the glasses thing is like, I wanted to wear the glasses when the classroom is filled and I can't see the back room and stuff, you know? I don't need to wear them now because I know you, God. Like, right. I know you. It's like I already know the vibe. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't need to wear the glasses to know what he's doing, you know? Now, who went back to the essence? Let me see. Appreciate all that. Did he go? Oh, Rob Bourne? Not Rob Bourne from Now Just. This is not Rob Bourne I'm talking about. He was from Texas. Nowadays, there are true living being part of classes whilst in the interior. That's right. I've sent a lot of books so far to the jails. You know what I mean? So hopefully they should get them if they're asking me for it. Right? They can feel it in the air, analog. Yeah, they can feel it. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. King, you said the 1 to 40 has always been the toughest and roughest because you got degrees that are a whole page long by themselves. Take them and live with the sentences. You know what I'm saying? You got to live with the sentences. You got to go into everything and take pieces of the 28th degree. Take them out. Take a sentence out. Live with that sentence. See how you see it. You know what I mean? Right? That the understanding of these lessons is built piece by piece, you know, piece by piece, you know. Was building in front of those intimidating. I ain't gonna lie, God, I would have froze or been stumbling under pressure. I'm Ghostface when I was getting 120 though. It was like we want it so bad we might cry. Like if I cried, it's because I wanted it so bad. I was like, you don't understand. Like the way I was learning, it was like I was expected to get this and teach here. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like a guy like like it was like 91 Jordan. He was supposed to win that chip. And when he got it, it was like, yo, it's about time because you were supposed to have one. You're supposed to have one. And then once I got the chip, then every day, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to get it. You know what I'm saying? I literally, and I got it around November. I quoted by around November. So from May to November, that's how long it took. About that. I didn't get my flag until he could get one.
So you saying from May to November?
That's how long it took me to go through it properly and everything, you know, to knowledge 120. And it's a lot of time with a lot of gods. And along with my Elena. And I didn't get the flag, the pin. I didn't get the pin until the day I got the pin was my born day. December 21st, 1999. So I literally got the flag. It was, I can't get a iller birthday present than that because there's none like that. There's none like that. I remember now it's me. He made it man official. He was like, I'm going to pin this on now. But I'm the last man to pin this flag on you. Every time you pin it on yourself, no man can do it after that.
That's peace.
And I was hyped, though. I was hyped. Oh, goodness. You know what I mean? I was hyped. That was definitely, And then it was right after that. That was when Day Sun was like, the idea, man. He was like, yo, we got to do our own thing. We're the only ones that are militant that are writing this. And, we got to do a revolutionary class. And so then we did he made up the name of the Peace course. He made that up. But he knew I was the one that was going to teach it. And I was like, okay, And all the elders thought it was just a writing class because we were writers. Right. But people didn't come in saying, hey, I want to write. No, they was like, I want to get the knowledge of stuff. So it just, I developed the curriculum. I kind of was like, okay, let's do it like that. But when you build it in front of people, you have to demand your right to be wrong. Meaning that if you build, you have to have the chance to be wrong. You won't be able to give any kind of speech or anything, though, if you don't have that. You know what I'm saying? Like you have the chance. Now, I'm not talking about in front of a parliament or something like that. You cannot be wrong in front of parliament.
I was gonna say, like,
that's the Apollo. That's the snatch. You know what I mean? But the classroom is different. You need a space where you could be wrong. That's also why I was fearless in trying to get the lesson. I knew deep down that if I ruined the lesson and had to come back, that it was because I didn't do something right. And I was going to learn the understanding, and I was come back if he said, I don't think it's strong enough. You know what I mean? Because I was being judged like that all the time. You know what I mean? All the time. So by then, King, I had a thick skin, you know what I'm saying? Because I was very used to saying, now, Cypher God, you got to do this better. Like, and honestly, yo, God, a lot of times they would tell me like, yo, we put a lot on you, God. You got to do this right. You're going to be up there. Like they would tell me like, I'm going to be in this class. Like Savior sat me down to tell me what it would be like teaching people that are strangers coming into his class. He taught me what books to give them automatically. So when you start, that's why you get As a Man Thinketh. It's because of him. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's because of him. Among so many. He taught me how to teach people of varying levels that they're at. So these are things I was being taught. What type of assignments to give. Knowledge Me was telling me, what do you give them? How do you judge them? What are the questions you ask a student? You know, these are all things I was learning, but I wasn't learning them so I could not just to see how I'm being taught. I was learning them because I was supposed to eventually perform them. You know, I was groomed though. You know, so I wanted that 1-40, and I didn't want everybody here watching me do that shit. Only because I wanted to get the shit. You know, and the 1-40 that takes a long time to quote that shit straight up. They didn't give me like, nah, you could do 10 today, and nah. I was like, I'm giving you all 40 right now.
Like 10, 20 minutes. 10.
I quoted the whole shit. The whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was on it. You know? 793, you said beats imagining that everyone in the audience is naked like they taught folks for years. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Why would I look at people and think about the naked though? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. I don't like that because it takes away the sincerity of talking to the individual. It means I'm looking at somebody, imagine naked. It means that I'm imagining and being in a demeaning position and me over them. That's so Western. You're doing a speech because you're talking to people. It's just talking to a lot of people at the same time. That's it. You'll take it no different than when you were talking to two of your friends at the same time. Take it no different. You know? It's all the same. In grad school, public speaking, just focusing on one person and performing as well as looking at the back of the class and projecting. I'm sure you meant projecting the voice. Reshape and switch the polarity on seriousness and perform. Right. Listen, when I was in school, right? When I was in college, we had speech class. The first day of speech class, I'm dressed Medina to the bone. I'm 85 still, but I got army jacket, 40 belows, big ass jeans tucked in them. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember what I was wearing, the sweater, but you know, it was something. Yeah. You know, it was something hip hop enough. And after the class, the teacher pulls me aside and I don't realize what she's doing. And she's asking me questions. And I'm like, wow, you know, nice college. They give you one-on-one. Didn't realize that she was asking me questions to see if I knew how to speak properly. And as I went along, I realized what she was doing, fucking bitch. You know what I mean? And, you know, and I just want to pass the course, so I was speaking articulately. But, you know, like this is like almost this is the first semester. And I was like, wow, already dealing with racism and stereotyping. And I ain't even, you know, I paid for this? Right. I fucking paid for this? Yeah, so that was some bullshit, you know. But I don't like a lot of those speech things. I don't like either looking at the back of the room. I'm not talking to anything in the wall. I'm not talking to a wall. I'm talking to these people. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not ready for their lack of attention, their lack of focus, or all of their reactions, then don't look at them directly, but look around to everybody. You look around to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Right? Always, you know. That works with everything, right? When we see performances, right? Like a KRS-One or anybody that's good, Buster or Method Man, they go everywhere. They go all around the stage, not just to be seen. They're going around the stage to look at you, and it feels like they care about you. You know what I mean? Crypto, you said today's math is wisdom God. The way I see that is using up my abilities and skills to reach the highest potential of my being. Using up you, right? You to, I see that. 793, we had to record ours and had a Jabot baggy overalls without it just to serve, but spoke with confidence and dressed them shamelessly and told them a story, basically. I see. G1, you said, peace, God. You said I could be wrong. I would probably say they used to say that as a technique because it was like a one-size-fits-all foolproof way to get those petrified of public speaking and speaking to the masses over the fear. Right. You know? But I'm telling you different things because what's important, though, is when we go out there, you're not a 5%er if you speak to the 85 down to them. You know what I'm saying? The 80, because we think about this. If you truly love knowledge, then that means you wouldn't see a difference in the 85 like that, because then you're just seeing them as someone that didn't have privy to what you got. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are lost to how to actually get to that. So they're not using their mind power to draw up the situation that leads them to the knowledge. Not everybody is strong enough like that or focused like that to get to the knowledge. You know what I mean? Yeah. But keep your sincerity. Always, the best way to build is always to have a way to be able to channel your sincerity. You know, one of the great builders that I ever saw was Wise Jamel. No one expressed his sincerity more than him. You know, like he was one of those. You know, like his whole heart is on his sleeve when he was to build. You know what I'm saying? Everything. You know what I mean? So you felt it. You know, you understood what he was saying. You know, great builder. You know. But yeah, on that note though, I had planned here. The class started at 6, but I got online at 7 because I like to give the students that are here some time, you know what I mean? Especially when I have a new student that comes here early, right? And I did build on the book, you know what I'm saying? So this is a concentrated piece. This is special to me. There's a lot of years. So.
Just online for sale now too?
Yeah, you get it from me, but you could also, all my books are on Amazon too. Yeah. They're cheaper with me, of course, but you know. Yeah, Wise Jamel used to give the tour through Harlem. Yeah. At one time, throughout the 2000s, we were really the two teachers that were here. I taught much of the 2000s by myself, but when there was another teacher here with a class, it was him. You know, especially the mid to the late 2000s into the 2010s. G1, you said that I mentioned earlier about teaching to those at different levels. What are some of the types of students you'd observe where you would have them classified into categories like? First, you got to ask questions of the student to see their levels. So what I mean by levels is like he might have the math, he might be a newborn, he might be in the 1 to 40. That's what I mean by levels. You know what I mean? So when you teach, you want to be able to say something that he already knows about, but teach it to him in a unique way where you learn pedagogy, you learn the way it's taught. You know what I'm saying? And you want to be able to teach something about the 1 to 40 to the God that's on the 1 to 40, but teach it in some way that has a context that can stay in the back of his head for use, future use. You know, so there's all types of things. King, you said, did Firstborn Prince give you the business, like how tough some say he was and others? I'm not bragging, though. He didn't give me the business, ever. Never. Never. You know? I learned with him peripherally. I didn't spend lots of time in a row with him. So when I learned from him, it was for particular things that I was around the school and he would call me in and we would build. He also saw me, so he never asked me to go get things for him, none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he saw me different. I was treated differently. So the way that he taught me and treated me was different than other people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's good or bad or anything like that. It could be a combination of both. You know what I'm saying? But he expected a lot out of me, so he didn't come around and teach me a lot of shit. So when he taught me stuff, though, I knew that it was important. And he taught me a lot in a very focused way. Like he would teach me specific things he thought were useful to me. You know? It was very specific. Because I was not one of those people that would come up though and be like, hey, I need to know this, that. You know? I just came as a sponge and did the knowledge a lot. You know what I mean? So it was a different relationship that we had, you know? Different relationship. Right? But no, I didn't do anything stupid, so he didn't get on me, right? Or ask a question that I know I should answer, shit like that. That's what used to get him mad, And people be doing that all the time.
Know this shit already.
I know this. Yeah, again, G1, the way to observe the different levels of students is simple. Ask. You got to ask. Every single time you're around, when you teach a class, when people you don't know is coming in, you have to ask questions. You have to survey, Yeah, you get into people's faces at the shows. Yeah, that's how you gotta do. Yeah, that's how you gotta do. Honestly, with my experience, and this is fact. No elder ever screamed at me. None. There's no elder.
Yo, that's so crazy that's even something that's like an accomplishment within the culture. It's something that you gotta like tell people like, yo, hey man, none of the elders ever yelled at me.
And it's not saying that I did a mistake though. It's that people expected me that people got yelled at if they expected them to do better, but no one yelled at me because if I did something wrong, they knew that if they corrected me, I would do better.
Right.
I would learn from the mistake. Right. So they didn't have to yell at me.
He wasn't a knucklehead.
Right. It's that simple. It's not nothing special. It's like I came civilized and I was civilized while I was there. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't ask dumb questions about shit. I didn't,
You wasn't in the special ed class.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Some of us.
Yeah. And I gotta keep it real. Like the type of questions that I've gotten over the years, there's a reason that certain people get yelled at. There's a reason certain people get yelled at. Like I've had students like, because that became the thing that the troll I have that manifests itself in every alias known to man. People have asked me about weed, but I've heard people ask me this shit again and again while they are high on weed, being paranoid. I'm like, this shit doesn't work for you. My man Emblem has written books and books on this shit. You know what I mean? He's high as a kite, writing books and all types of complex mathematical equations he's studying. You suck at this shit, right? It's like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not different for different people. But people keep asking, they'll keep harping, or people that harp on the same issues again and again. Yeah. Because it's knowledge of self, but people have such a bad esteem of themselves that the classroom morphs into a couch. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes okay, well, tell me your problems. And, I'm here. Okay.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Right? I kind of want to have that approach whenever I teach, or just trying to correlate.
Right. It's there, God. I'm not saying like.
But I get what
you have exactly what you have to do that. This is their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's their lives, and they're important to me. So I want to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? But they can't. You have to notice when they're harping on those same things all the time. And tell them. G1, you said one of my favorite teaching moments to enter the Dracula Brutes teaches those New Zealand dude on the boat going to the island about the art of fighting without fighting. When the guy asked Bruce to show him, Bruce said, "We need room. Let's take this solo boat." Yeah, and go over there. Right. And then he leaves the guy in the solo boat, and then he leaves him there. Right? Yeah, exactly. Because he basically wanted to fight, so he could fight with himself and his own inner demons. You know what I'm saying? He wanted. A lot of times people want to master you. This happened many times. People, when people are confrontational, their first way of being the true living God is to try to master the one that taught them that they were the true living God. And that's why when you deal with devils, they have things like, in the 48 laws of power, never outshine the master, shit like that. It's for situations like that. You know what I'm saying? But I separate God. That's not my issue. That's not my issue. How they feel about that. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
And if it's about that, then we know that they have a problem though, because it's not about them being God. It's about them lording over. There's such a big difference, lording over things as opposed to being the God. You know, taking responsibility as opposed to wanting to be worshipped. I've had people come in here and say, "Listen, you all teach you that man is God. I need to know because I need to be worshipped out in these streets."
Yeah, that's
I said,
how this
"Yeah,
works.
no, that's happened though." And I said,
No, I know. Shit.
"Yeah," and I'll be like, "We don't teach that here. That's some bullshit." You know,
Come on.
King, you said I have all your books, God, but this new one is my favorite because it goes more in depth about your foundation of yourself. Yeah, this is the most personal to me. This is who I am, especially that Blackest Pedagogy piece. That's my life. That's what I decided to be then, and that's what I became. So it's very, very personal. You know what I'm saying? There isn't my artistic work has personal vignettes about that nature of who I think I am, of what I am, but it's all in that essay. You know what I'm saying? That's who I was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? It's because of essays like that that my first relationship could never work. Because I had set in stone that this is what I'm going to be. And if you're not ready, though, you're going to get left behind. So that relationship wasn't there already. It was already gone before it even developed. You know, because people didn't, that person didn't have a choice to learn what I was shown and proven to be the truth. It's not fair. It's not fair to me that not everybody wants the truth. They rather live in, they want to live in the matrix, and taste the steak, right? However, in a relationship, they need to be open to that. I thought as a young man, though, I was like, listen, this is around the relationship, I can go into this,
Yeah.
I was like, if you're with me, I'm gonna do the kind of work that doesn't always pay greatly. I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I have integrity with what I'm sharing. So if you come with me on that journey, that's a journey. But then at the same time, though, if they say okay, then I'm expecting like, all right, it's time to go. It's time to go.
Right.
And then when I start going, they're like, wait. I don't know about this I don't know about this journey here. You know what I'm saying? So then it's no good. It's no good.
Yeah. That's how it be, man.
Yeah, all I could do is Jordan shrugged.
It's like you met me, you knew I was a DJ.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know.
You knew this wasn't a regular job. You know what I'm saying?
That's what happens though, you know what I mean? That's what happens. It doesn't always work that way. There's people that want the knowledge though, but they want it for their own benefit.
Yeah.
And if they don't see themselves becoming rich off the greatest knowledge that the universe has to offer, it's not good enough.
Right.
It's not good enough though. A happy life is not good enough. I need the things other people have. Well, if you're with me, I might be too fidel for you then.
Right.
Because I'm still talking about the revolution.
Right.
While you're over here saying, but Pitbull's out there in Miami doing shit. Take a trip. You gotta go to Miami. What the fuck is
It's a Pitbull.
I don't know. It just the example works for me.
No, it does.
Oh
shit!
It's crazy. It's P.E.A.C.E that people enjoy the book. I wrote this so concentrated though. Like when I was starting as a writer, I was literally writing, and this is something that me and Dayson had in common. But not the things we were writing in magazines, but the things that we really wanted to write.
Right.
We was writing and saying, we're not going to be appreciated until we're way past gone. Like we was writing for the future. And so we was writing things heavy as fuck. We was putting all types of shit. And to this day, when I write, it's very concentrated. If I write a poem, though, that shit is layered as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And never changed. That's the way I write. But I never thought that when I wrote this, I didn't even know it would be published back in 2003 because so many of my hip hop stuff was being rejected. I have them all too. I kept the receipts.
Okay.
You know, so when you guys, Random House or whatever you motherfuckers know, Penguin, all of them, they all fronted.
Mm.
You know what I mean? All of them, though. You know what I mean? So I do them now. They get appreciated though. But I was on this shit for years. You know what I mean? I was saying that what I was doing was an element back in 1995. So imagine how long it took to actually have a forum where I could show you what it would look like if a journalist, a guy writing journalism, can make it as an artistic piece. It took that long. You know? It took years. A lot of quitting along the way. Indeed, so yeah, it's just what they think steak tastes like, but that's all they want. Right? Like I said, the oasis is past the mirage. You know what I'm saying? Always remember that. The oasis is past the mirage. You have to go past what appears to be the perfect truth. You know what I'm saying? That is not proven, but is very, very livable in to find the actual truth. And you know what, though? You won't be in the mirage anymore. You will have a living oasis, though. Water, actual waters that give you life, but also take nurturing. Because that water is only going to be there to it's going to be needed to be tilled. It's going to be needed to be manifested. It's going to be, you're going to have to till that soil, farm it out, all of that kind of shit. That oasis, you have to do something to it. You know? You can't just leave it like that. Right? People don't just bump into Africa and be like, wow, look at this, all this shit here. We have to do shit to the soil. We have to interact with it. You know? But like I always say, the oasis is past the mirage. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, this one of the gods, I don't know if he's on here, but he's on my Instagram. And he sent me a thing about Bruce Lee, about this brother that supposedly beat Bruce Lee. But they have it in the context of Bruce Lee is whack because he got beaten by one guy. And we don't see it that way in anything else. You know what I'm saying? But we see it there. Like, you know, it's not just movie fighting. And now if he lost one time, it's just movie fighting. You know? And I didn't get a chance to write this, but like back to the God. But I was thinking about that because you said Bruce Lee. People don't really get how many people Bruce Lee was being challenged by once he started doing movies. You know, it's the same as a rapper that's saying like, yo, you know that in the 90s, if you start that gun shit, niggas want to see if you got them guns. Do you? Do you have that crew? You know what I mean? Oh, you're Mobb Deep? How deep is it? Right? You know, like, is it really that? Right? Is Wu-Tang, is it really that? Right? Wu-Tang was smart, though. They were saying they were a clan, so they made sure they had like 1 million people. But people would challenge. They would challenge you. Yo, I remember talking to Willie Colon about him and Hector Lavoe when they was doing music. They had like rugged album covers, you know, and they used to talk in the lyrics like, yo, Lavoe had lines where he's like, I'm the best. I'm better than everybody out. People would go challenge them. You know what I'm saying? They would literally go challenge them. Say, oh, you think you're the best at this shit? You tough like that?
Yeah.
You know? And they would get into fights in clubs and shit. So it's always been like that. You know what I mean?
This is before hip hop.
Yeah. That's what I said. Salsa is the first urban genre of New York, you know, because they was fighting in Jerome Avenue clubs before they was fighting about hip hop.
That's crazy.
You know? Yeah. And I told Willie Colon, I was like, yo, that's a lot like hip hop. And he was so offended. And I had to explain to him, like, listen, I know you guys aren't cursing in your songs and things like that, even though I think if Hector Lavoe lived, you would be cursing in hell in the songs. But it has that same vibe, like, you know, like they have an album that has a guy with a gun to his head. It said, I'll kill you. The album's called Lo Mato. I'll kill you. And in the small print, it says, it's in Spanish, but it says, I'll kill you. That's the name of the album. But then it says, if you don't buy this album. But it's mad tiny print. Mad tiny print. It's real little. You'll never see it. You can't even see it on the CD. When I first saw it, what it said, I saw somebody with the vinyl, and I was like, oh shit! It says if you don't buy the album.
So that's gangster as fuck
And he was like that. Here's the guy. Like,
Yeah,
I gotta show you the cover though, so you can see it though. I'm gonna show you.
That's wild.
But it's grimy though. Like, yeah, do the knowledge guy. Like, nobody has an album like that. Like, if you do the knowledge guy, like, he's just holding the gat on him like that. You know what I mean? See how he's holding the gat? And you see in this print, it's supposed to be right there where the words say
They
it.
don't
And
even say it on that one.
on that one, it don't even say it though. Some of the one of the old vinyls I saw had it. I was like, I'll kill you if you don't, you know. But all their records were like that, so they was getting challenged like that.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you gangster like that, you know. But
That's fine.
they weren't ready for the high science. They couldn't market it right for the bottom line. They missed out on the time styles was understanding. They got to try to present. You know what though? I to this day, a lot of the stuff I write comes across as experimental. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why they wouldn't take it. You know what I mean? I'm just happy that I could share it though. That it exists. You know what I'm saying? And that these times that I wrote all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I wrote this when my little one was running around. She was like 2 years old. You know. I remember when I was writing it, and then these columns, a lot of them important because I wrote them during the pandemic. The Mecca mission, that was dear to me too because we was doing all this stuff. So you know, everything in here is very dear to me. You know what I'm saying? Very special. A lot of memories of these things. You know. Because in my life experiences, because I didn't have great relationships, I end up remembering what I created more so than what I was living with, you know, who I was living with. Those become the memories that end up staying more longer, you know what I'm saying? But I just kept creating, you know what I'm saying? 793 used to at one time in the 90s, we used to walk around with albums 12 inch to throw on and off, and when we go to the clubs to battle. Oh man, that's dope. That's dope. You know what I mean? 12 inch. You know, but I've gone long enough. So tonight said I really was gonna end at 9. I'm a little over, but that's good. If you're in the New York City area, come to the class. I'm starting to regularly come back at 6. If you're not sure, just email me. If you have my map, just text me. And then, you know what I'm saying? That's right. Now my little girl's top chef, you know what I mean? She's top chef, you know? And let me tell you something. I can't eat all the baked goods that my daughter cooks though, but she could cook a meal. And my last favorite meal I had that was different from my regular workout meals. I just have a workout meal was the meal that she made for me. You know what I'm saying? And it was really good, man. She left me ingredients like I was going to be able to recreate it. And you know what? I was not able to recreate it. You know, the way she did it. But a lot of it boils down, all these things we've been talking about, they boil down to sincerity. Sincerity is the ability to convey what is most true to your nature, the reality of your nature, the truthfulness of your nature, and the truthfulness of your understanding, meaning that it has been tested and that it is an understanding of you to be able to express that as something you want people to have and to use, as opposed to you just lord over them. You know what I'm saying? That is what makes it worthwhile. Let me look through the questions because I forgot, Malik. Let me look through. I'll just get them up now. There were a couple of questions Malik asked. Let me answer them, okay? Because I totally forgot. I answered the first 2 that he gave. Very pleasant question. Right? The science of the 23 scientists, this is the 24 scientists, is that the ancient societies always had the best knowers. I can't say that they had 24, that everyone had a certain amount, we have to go back to each particular society and everything. But the science of the 24 scientists deciding how things will be and stuff is the reality of the best knower. That the best knower is going to be able to decide certain things. And that because there are 24, it shows that the best knower fluctuates. So that means that you not everybody knows everything, but there's always a best knower. And how you're able to deal with things supremely is by being able to identify the best knower in every situation. So if you're able to identify the best knower, then you're able to fluctuate and continue to get the best advice, the best insight from that particular person. You know what I'm saying? That's why she's mastering the craft. And for us to the understanding of the best knower is really what you get out of that 24 scientists. It isn't some 24 scientists deciding what we are going to do, but it's the idea of are we able to deal with the best knower in every single position? Are we able to identify them and identify that best knower all the time? And that's something that I don't know. I don't know if there's a more important lesson as this nation grows bigger and we develop so many people that have so many insights about things. You know what I mean? That becomes extra crucial. You know what I mean? I was thinking about West Asia as you answered eloquently, and if you look at the map, it's Easter. Am I mistaken? West Asia means that when you get to Asia, you're looking toward the West. You know what I'm saying? So it's that part closer to Europe, right? When you say Elijah says just in the 37th degree, what did he mean? When he is just and true, just means that he is righteous. The word just, when you use the word like that, just, is he just? It doesn't mean just because. It means like, it's like short form for justice. So in this case, doesn't mean that he's honorable. You know what I mean? It really means more honorable. Is he honorable? You know what I'm saying? That's what that word means.
And justice comes from just, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, is he just and true? Is he honorable and true? So, let's see. Okay. I'm a little confused by this question. What area or country was it in Africa, as we call Asia? I'm not sure what you mean, but like the best part really is really Northern Africa, and that has to do with the identification of Northern Africa, particularly Mecca, but as the flower of it all. So it's not technically where everything is being molded, but it's what gets presented to the world. You know what I mean? In the 28th degree, how did he get off Patmos or Pelon? And did they go to Mecca and start causing trouble? How they got out of Pelon, though, is up for discussion. But because they were led into Pelon, they could be easily let out of Pelon. You know what I'm saying? So that isn't too difficult. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that they were like all barbarians and shit like that. They were being given some form of society. Because remember, the 28th degree, it talks about the institutions, doctors, ministers, nurses, right? Cremator. So there's a society there. And if you have institutions, that means if you have institutions, that means you have a society. You know what I mean? What else do we have? Yeah, when they came down, they did start causing trouble. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't really engage themselves. So they did devilishment. What made Musa go way over there to strive to civilize them, knowing his attempts would be futile? Did he know? The way you read the lessons is prophecy. So that means that they knew that it had to be done for a certain reason. You know what I'm saying? It had to be done because people, the whole idea was that people knew that they were here for some reason. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when Musa is sent up there, it is to direct them in some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Direct them to a new world or what their destiny is. You know what I'm saying? What they were destined to do. Right? And that idea of destiny or what you destined to do, that's something that's in the lesson. You know what I'm saying? That if we decide that there is an idea that needs to be manifested, it will happen, and things will be done to make it happen. It sounds so awkward in today's society, but remember, we're oppressed in this world, so we're not part of the people that make decisions. So we don't realize how easy it could be to manipulate a whole populace to guide toward a certain way of life. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not in that position. But if you look at it, though, it still happens today on a lower level. You know what I'm saying? Not at level like 6,000 years is being planned. But certainly the devil has planned for like years and years. And even though he has to mutate it, he has to alter it, there's obviously, because it's devilishment, there's lots of fallout. Like he definitely wasn't envisioning that the shit he was doing was going to destroy the earth immediately. Like they don't think like that because they're not thinking like that at all. You know what I mean? But that's what happens. But you certainly can plot for a long period of time. That's what businesses do. So like this idea of people planning things together and stuff, it shouldn't be so out of the norm. You know what I'm saying? Like out of context. And sending Musa there was to fulfill that. Musa means great civilizer. And in this case, you could say Musa taught them. He gave them a reflective teaching. He taught them how to be the best them. He taught them how to be the best of themselves. So he taught them what they were naturally suited for, but also what they needed to know. Right? When you said that Fard was talking to a Masonic judge, okay, that was told to me by enlightenment. Yeah, by my enlightenment knowledge. Me. How can we prove that? The proof is more in the insinuation of the language, the nature of the language that you use. The way he's being asked is not the way it would be in the other degrees, like the way it's asked of Elijah. It's different. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure, but elders have told me that that's what they teach in the NOI too. But a lot of Muslims that you see around today, they're not very far in their teaching. Like they're not going into the supreme wisdom very deeply anymore.
Pardon me, Sunez.
That's peace, God.
My baby.
Oh, man. They keep building God.
That's peace, God. All right. What made Elijah say basically, don't question me basically, and I'm wrong here is $1,000. Love you too, though, guys. Elijah was sharing this truth, but as a religion. He wasn't sharing it as a scientific measure. He was telling people, his own followers and books and everything, that it's a science, but he was teaching them as religious subjects. That's why they were Muslims. And his definition, those who submit to the will of Allah, right? Muslims are those who submit to the will of Allah, who came in the person of Master Muhammad, right? So, that's what it was, right? But that's what Elijah was, the great evangelist of truth. He really was. You know what I'm saying? Talked about this last week too. And to me, I don't see it as devilishment. I thought Elijah, what he did was what was needed, and it was right and exact to me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because he got this idea to a mass amount of people, and it didn't just set up a condition where someone would really see it, because it did, right? The Father saw it. And just think about it. Just think about it for a minute. This teaching is out there. It's in there. And out of all of them, though, there's really only one man that took it that far. It's only one man. That shit is still mind blowing to me.
No, it is.
Right? The NOI was around for years. For years, almost like 2, 3, maybe almost 4 decades. At least 3. We could say started around the 40s, 50s, right? It's around. It's developing by Elijah slowly but surely. And in the 60s, when it gets to its heights of power, and men, they really become spokespeople. It wasn't just Malcolm. They were filled with slews of teachers. There's no way that you could lose a Malcolm and just pop out Farrakhan. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget about what you think Farrakhan or anything like that. These are master speakers. You don't get 2 master speakers and you're not around a whole bunch of people that have mastered this on many levels. It doesn't work that way. Like you get Steph Curry. He can shoot the lights out. Nobody can shoot like him. But everybody shoots dope. He's an anomaly that's even way beyond. But that means that you're around a lot of great shooters. None as good as him, but you're around a lot of great shooters. Right? Because he had to go above and beyond to be noticed, to be worthy. So it was grooming that type of builder. And just like us, you see a lot of people in the Nation of Islam, they know how to articulate. And they know how to articulate with passion. You know what I'm saying? Right? The gods have always been known how to build. So you see a million great builders. You know what I mean? All of us, like most 5%ers really know how to speak. And they're very comfortable with that. On all different type of levels. It's just a level that you get them with. You know what I mean? It's a level you get them with. Some gods are great building in regular ciphers among strangers, this and that. You know what I'm saying? Right? Then you see others, though, like I'll teach around among huge crowds. But when I'm outside, though, I'm mad quiet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not introducing myself to strangers, Right? So it's different. You know what I mean? It's different. Right? Hope that answers the questions, Right? I see you, Kate. Well, I'm a little past you. You said, but that was after Elijah during Farrakhan. What was after? I'm not sure what part I was getting at. That was after. You gotta let me know. But I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna like to go home now and relax. Yo, somebody on Facebook gave me a happy physical born day. I'm like, they like a few months off, man. My born day is in December, like way off. It's just crazy, Gotta do the knowledge. It's a 5% too. He told me, he's like, happy physical. Fuck, right? But yeah, I'm gonna let everybody go. Yo, King, don't forget about that idea, the Orange Juice Jones thing. Cause I'm with that actually. I'm with that. That shit is funny. We can do shit with that, But everybody everybody keep building. You know what I'm saying? With these women, be a real person. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right? Be a real person. Just like with almost everything else, when like they'll realize later, like, damn, I didn't know he was funny like that. I didn't know he, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know he wasn't, the queen I'm building with now, she thought I trained every single day. I was like, nah, I don't train every day. I'm always in the mindset to fight every day, but I don't train every day. I would have a battered body, you know. I have a battered body, you know. And if you really learn how to fight though, then that means that you save some stuff to actually use it.
Yeah.
Right. Why would I don't exhaust everything
Right.
because some of it is be used like now. Like
Right.
I gotta right. So that's the whole shit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They noticed that, you know, Skilla Straight Low got some jokes. You know what I mean?
Nah, this algorithm shit is spooky because as soon as I cut on Instagram, who I see?
Who you saw?
You.
That's
From
creepy.
6 hours ago.
I Levitating's a class track of Magic Carpet, the theme music. What would be the theme music though? I don't know. Yeah. People have all types of things, you know, like but when they if they learn that they a little bit happy that it's not like that. A superhero. Yeah. Someone like that, yeah. You know? But you know, you gotta be the superhero gotta spend some time in the alter ego, you know what I'm saying? In the alter ego. Yeah. But with that said, I'm gonna let everybody go. And I gotta get home. You know what I mean? But anything, email me, okay? Everybody email me if you're new to this and you were doing the knowledge and you got the greatest relationship advice ever. I'm here all week. All you have to do is email me, right? Free relationship advice, right? But right? Yeah. Safe travels, please. Thank you. Thank you. I definitely will. You know, I definitely will. Absolutely. You know. Peace to the God, all right? So I'm gonna let everybody go. All right. Peace.
Peace.